fucking Carrie Annie.
Oh, it's Chris Avalon Unfiltered, bitch. Well, hello, everybody. Good afternoon, and welcome to a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered, a show where we basically talk about all the latest celebrity news, gossip, entertainment news, anything going on that's trending in pop culture, hot topics, whatever you want to call it. We talk about it on this here show. So, before we get started, can you please do me a solid and hit that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button, so that way you know when we go live with a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. And before you get started with the show, I just want to thank everybody that's been continuously subscribing to the channel, sending comments, good, bad, or indifferent. You know, people trying to tell me how to do my own damn show. First of all, you can suck my entire ass on that. I don't need nobody trying to tell me how to do my show. I'm on one today. Like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to. I'm ready to start windmilling. Like, apparently Latrice Royale from Drag Race is pissed off at me, but she'll get over it. Um, there's a lot of stuff going on today in regards to, and I'll probably tell y'all why in a second. But anyway, so we got a lot of tea to get to. There's some stories. I got the latest on what went down with the whole Crystal Lake TV series. Kevin Williamson started spilling some tea about something that he and Brian Fuller were working on that I thought was a pretty cool idea, and unfortunately it's a missed opportunity. Plus, it looks like MTV Movie Awards, apparently they've decided to go on pause. They're coming back in 2025. Quiet as it's kept, they just need to cancel the shit altogether, because I don't know anybody that actually still keeps up with MTV and their award shows, when not only do you not show TV shows and movies or whatever, but you don't even show music videos. Hence why I don't understand why they still got a VMAs. But that's a whole nother conversation. We'll probably just bring that up when the VMAs come up or they start making their announcements or whatever. We'll just save that for that. Plus, Madonna's broken another freaking record. Congratulations to her. We're going to talk about that. Plus, this whole Eurovision situation, there's a lot of backlash that was going on from it. We'll talk about the winner, and we'll talk about Olly Alexander's performance, which he didn't get no points, child. But I shouldn't laugh. But we're going to talk about the embarrassment from that whole situation. Plus, queer Brooklyn bar $3 bill got dragged because there was a whole situation about the watch party. They were doing a watch party or something at the event, and people was pissed off about it. They was like, oh no, because of what's going on over in Palestine, Gaza and the whole war, and our country is sending a lot of our taxpaying dollars, putting billions of dollars to drop bombs over on these people, when this is something a lot of us do not want, except them warmongers on the Democratic side. Genocide Joe and all his fools. I voted for his ass, so I can call him fucking Genocide Joe if I want to. But anyway, so apparently they face backlash and all this other stuff. So we'll break that story down. Plus, there's a story going on about Pink being upset that Beyonce and Taylor Swift are getting a lot of coverage over their tours, and she's pretty much, they're just like, fuck my drag when it comes to her, when she's breaking records herself, and the media isn't talking about it. Plus, Justin Timberlake, it looks like he's being retired by the fans, because they're saying, like, not only is his album flopping, but the tour is not doing all that well either. So we're going to talk about that. Plus, Tyrese, we talked about him the other day, where I was like, he need to be focusing on his own family dynamics and stuff, instead of asserting himself and other people's shit, like what's going on with Brian McKnight. Well, you need to be fixing what's going on in your own glass house. Well, apparently his ex-wife, Norma, is suing him for defamation for spilling private information about their daughter. So she's taking his ass to court, and rightfully so, because he's a bum ass bitch and I don't like him. And it's like, when people need to learn to mind the business that that pays them, and they need to clean their own shit up before they jump into other people's conversations, then you can go and do what you need to do. But clean up your own house, sir. Get the broom and dustpan and get to sweeping. So, and then not only that, it seemed like Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie still having marital problems. His security guard is actually coming to his defense, saying that Angelina been on some vindictive type shit when it comes to them damn kids. So we're going to talk about that. Plus, Michael Jackson's camp is going after Wade Robson and James Safechuck over, because they said that they was comparing him to the Catholic Church, saying that he's basically out here being Chester the molested and all this other mess. So we're going to talk about that. Plus, Ben Affleck, apparently, it seemed like he's trying to find ways to get away from Jennifer Lopez. We'll talk about that. Whoopi Goldberg is talking about hosting The View, and now she wishes it would go back to a time where you could have conversations without people being ready to cancel you. Plus, speaking of The View, Nutmeg McCain is out here asserting herself in the conversations, talking about there's a no rat's chance in hell that she would ever come back to The View. Quiet as it's kept. I don't know anybody who would ask her why they asked to come back, but we'll talk about it. Plus, Leah McSweeney's lawyers, last but certainly not least, is questioning this investigation where it's cleared Andy Cohen of any wrongdoing. We're gonna break it down. See, I was kind of being nice and cordial in the last topic when we talked about that, was giving him the benefit of the doubt, even though I heard some shit about him and his legendary, snortations of the booger sugar and the drinking and all that other stuff and partying hard, which is fine, but you should be mixing that in with the people that you work with. So we're going to talk about that and a whole lot more. But like I said earlier in the show, because I always got to repeat it, please do me a solid, hit that like button, that subscribe button, and the notification button, so that way you guys know when we go live with a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. Now, without further ado, let's get into our first topic, which is basically the latest on this whole Friday the 13th situation. So, a lot of us horror fans, we were really excited about what I'll say for me, I can't speak for everybody else, but me as a horror fan and a fan of Brian Fuller's work, like I love the Queer for Fear docu-series that they had on Shudder, which, if y'all haven't heard the tea about that, Brian Fuller did come under fire because there were some accusations from a producer that worked on the set that said that he sexually harassed him and I guess rubbed his member up against his butt and some other accusations and made the workforce uncomfortable and that sort of thing. And so I don't know if that's one of the reasons why Brian Fuller stepped down, but that was the tea that's floating out there. And I don't even know if that case has been closed yet because I haven't heard anything. I actually forgot about it until it was mentioned the other day. So we already heard the story and stuff about A24 is behind it and Peacock. And, they're trying to bring us a Friday the 13th TV series. I gave my full opinion on what I thought about, Brian's ideas and other stuff. You can watch that in a separate episode. I did cut up the episode, the clip. It's on my YouTube. You can just look it up. It's there. So if you want to hear what I got to say on that, I don't feel like repeating myself. But apparently, Bloody Disgusting has given us some new tea in regards of what could have been had we gotten the franchise. And that's coming from Kevin Williamson himself, who was supposed to, I believe, write and direct one of the episodes of the upcoming season. So, it says, according to Bloody Disgusting, it said Kevin Williamson, who has given us the Scream franchise. He's also expected to write Scream 7. Well, not write it, but he's supposed to direct it. The script's already been written, but I have a feeling that he's going to actually assert some ideas and some other stuff. And I don't think Kevin Williamson is just going to stand there and be like, action and cut and check the gate and all the other stuff. He's not going to be doing all that. I do feel like he's probably going to have a hand in structuring the script a lot better, because no shade, but the people behind the scripts of Scream 5 and Scream 6, I do feel like there was some situations in that scenario where certain parts of that film fell apart for me. So I do feel like having Kevin Williamson come in and assert a couple of more ideas than really beef up the script will probably make Scream 7 a really good movie. Well, at least I hope it does. But it says that, Kevin has been on board to write an episode of the Crystal Lake series, and Williamson took to Twitter yesterday, which was Saturday, to tease some of those original plans. Williamson writes, "Bumming hard, so sorry I won't be a part of what would have been an epic Brian Fuller show. Your pilot was so beautifully realized, a gorgeous portrait of a mother unraveling in her grief, not to mention bloody terrific." He also adds by saying, "I was so looking forward to our hour-long chase episode." Well, child, if there was going to be an hour-long chase episode, I hope whoever Jason was chasing or Pamela, whoever they was going to have doing the chasing, I hope y'all got your cardio in. So Kevin Williamson is, of course, known for writing incredible slasher movie chase sequences, including the one seen in the original Scream and Scream 2, as well as I Know What You Did Last Summer and last year's Sick. And I have to say, I Know What You Did Last Summer kind of there are parts of that film that I feel like could have been a bit stronger, but everybody knows that the best part of I Know What You Did Last Summer is that chase sequence with Sarah Michelle Gellar. That was the best part of that movie, in my opinion. I felt like that was like one of my all-time favorite kills. Not only because, it was a cool sequence, the way it all flowed and everything, but because I love Sarah Michelle Gellar. But and then also Scream and Scream 2, and then Sick. If y'all haven't seen that, definitely check that out. That's on Peacock. I was pleasantly surprised by that film. So it says it's not hard to imagine how cool an hour-long Friday the 13th Chase episode would be in Williamson's hands, but alas, it's not happening anymore. The silver lining, Williamson is directing the next installment in the Scream franchise. Now, the director of Cube, Splice, and several episodes of Hannibal, Vincenzo Natali, also took to Twitter this weekend to give us a taste of the Crystal Lake series we'll never see, tweeting, I have read the first 2 episodes. Brian Fuller's Crystal Lake was well on its way to becoming another Hannibal level reinvention that was simultaneously beautiful, sad, poetic, funny, and horrifying. I mourn its passing. And we already know the tea about Hannibal, creator Brian Fuller no longer being the showrunner. They decided to go because, A24 decided to go in a different direction. But I do feel like, you know what? And they said it was given a straight to series order back in 2022. It's 2 years later. I get it. It's the pandemic and the writing strike and all the other stuff was going on. And then we were even going to get to see the original Friday the 13th final girl, Adrienne King, who y'all know was killed off in part 2, was going to, have a recurring role. I don't know what role she was going to play because she's older now. So I don't think she would have been playing Alice because Alice was killed by Jason in part 2 for killing his mother in part 1. So it would have been cool to really see how this whole story would have transpired. But unfortunately, you know what? I'll say this. While I was genuinely curious about that part, I definitely trust in A24 because they've been giving us a lot of stuff. A lot of great content. Like I love a lot of the stuff that's been coming out of A24. Most recently, I saw Civil War in the theater. I don't know if I could sit and watch it. Like that movie ever popped up on any of the streaming services or whatever the case was. I don't know if I could sit and watch that. It would take me a while to go back to watching that movie because it was just a lot of stuff in that film that really just, I don't know, it literally feels like what's happening in the world today is definitely mirroring what's going on in that film. So it hits a little too close to home. So I got to take a breather from that film. So I can't really get behind Civil War as of yet. It's going to take me a while to get back into that film. That's how compelling it is, and that's how emotional I got because I literally did cry watching that movie during 2 sequences because I be in my feelings now. So, um, as I was saying before, I'm definitely excited to see, what's in regards to this film. I'm definitely curious to see, where we're gonna go and where they were gonna go with this. But I trust in A24. I loved a lot of the, X. I'm looking forward to seeing Maxine. I like a lot of the content that A24 has been shelling out. They are, in my opinion, a filmmaker's studio where they really go in and allow the ideas of the showrunner, the studio, whatever, to pretty much create their art and put it out there. And 9 times out of 10, people support it. So clearly, so I'm feeling like, what, A24 saw something and they were just like, what, this is not working. But I would have really loved to have seen like an episode where we get to see the many emotional situations that Pamela goes through, especially when her son drowned. What was it, 1958 when he died? So it would have been nice to see her go through those emotions. But I don't know if there's another thing too. Like, I don't even know if Friday the 13th could work as a series. Like, I like the idea of just like, Jason going around killing people. I feel like the only thing they could add to the Friday the 13th series would be, okay, you spend more time developing the characters and stuff. So that way, when Jason does commit his murders, it makes it a bit more, and the kills are way more impactful. So I feel like that's what we could have gotten from that. So I say all this to say, I would have been curious. And you know what? I also was thinking too. I was like, what? Maybe with what could happen is that since those ideas were scrapped, maybe Kevin can save those and put them in another movie. He's done that before because they said that there was actually a sequence that was supposed to be in I Know What You Did Last Summer, but Jim Gillespie didn't agree. He didn't want to do it. So Kevin put it in Scream 2. And that was the scene when Callie and Sydney were in the backseat of the cop car and they had to kind of get through the thing to get out over the killer and, that whole sequence. So that was supposed to be in one film and it was used for another. So who knows? Maybe Kevin can take those ideas that he had for the Friday the 13th series and incorporate it in Scream 7, or, if Scream 7 does well, I'm not the Oracle, but I have a feeling out of curiosity and horror movie fans, they will go support this movie regardless of how y'all feel, because I have been noticing on social media, there's been this thing, and this was yesterday, how I see fans putting Melissa Barrera and Nev against each other. with this whole never signing on to come back as Sydney Prescott. Mind you, Sydney is the franchise. Never's been doing this franchise for over 20 something odd years, well, like over 25 years. So the real enemy is Spyglass. And the thing that irritates me is people are coming at the actresses. It's easy because y'all love putting women against each other, but y'all are not going in on the actual studio that was pulling the bullshit in the first place, and that would be Spyglass. So y'all need to be taking your gripe with them and that man over there that got her fired instead of getting mad at Nev Campbell. Although I did say what I said about, you know, Nev, let's be real. The reason why you were given what you wanted was because they were backed into a corner, and no matter which direction they went into in regard to this Scream franchise, they had no choice but to come to you begging with the Brinks truck backed up to your door and beg you to come back and do this franchise. So if we're gonna be honest, we got to be honest. But I say all this to say this is unfortunate. I really hope that they get this whole Friday 13th situation worked out. I really hope that we get this, that it gets to see the light of day. Because look, it's been 15 years since we've seen Jason on our screens, big or small, and I'm getting impatient. You know, I could be patient for a minute, but like 15 years, that's a little too long for an IP to just be sitting on a shelf in some legal jargon mess, whatever you want to call it, or legal entanglement was what we'll call it. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below in regards to this whole situation regarding this Crystal Lake franchise. Were you looking forward to seeing this hour-long chase sequence and how they would have managed to make that work, and the whole ideas of what they were talking about in regards of um you know, these different emotional situations that Pamela was going to be going through when she saw that, you know, they were making love while my son drowned in the water, and you know, so you remember how she said what she says in the original movie. So were y'all bummed to not get to see Brian Fuller's vision realized for a new Friday 13th film? Were you interested in watching a film with Pamela? Do you not care about Pamela and rather see a film with Jason? Let me know whatever you guys think in regards to the story down in the comments below. Okay, so now I see we have some comments. Let's run over there and get those. Robert says, "Hello, everybody. Hello and happy Sunday. Happy Mother's Day." I forgot. I don't know if I mentioned that. Yeah, happy Mother's Day. You know, I remember I spoke to my mother this morning. She apparently had to run down to her mother's house out in Suffolk County. So that's where she's going to be spending time at and whatever. And I did, you know, I am so my father's child. I'm always late when it comes to stuff. Like I literally had to pivot. I was like, what can I get my mother for Mother's Day? I didn't buy her something until literally Friday. And of course, on Amazon, they're like, your delivery will be on Monday. So I just had to let her know. I said, your gift is gonna be late. But she was like, that's fine. Just, you know, let me know when it comes or whatever. So and my mother's a huge Betty Boop fan. Like she loves Betty Boop. So I had to get her some Betty Boop type stuff. Um, and that is what she's gonna get for Mother's Day. So the next time I see her, I'll just have to give her that. But anyway, um, shout out to all the mothers out there and, you know, all the fans who watch the show. If you're a mother, happy Mother's Day to y'all. I know all the work and everything that y'all put into what it takes to take care of kids. Y'all got more patience than me because I barely had patience for my goddaughter when I was raising her. But yeah, listen, the only time it worked was did I skip one? Because I thought oh wait, I did skip one. I was like, Felix, remember the Nightmare on Elm Street series? I actually don't remember it. I remember because there were documentaries or little YouTube videos that I've seen online that talks about the Nightmare on Elm Street series, but I don't think I've never gotten to watch it because one, when I was a kid, my mother was like, "Y'all go to bed." Like our bedtime was like 9 o'clock. We had no TV in our bedroom. Like my parents was real strict when it came to stuff. Like and I always found ways to listen to music or whatever the case was, like real bad songs or whatever. Like people would make cassette tapes. And I remember like my sister had a cassette tape of Slick Rick and we used my younger brother's My First Sony and we would listen to like the bad songs on it. And I don't think they ever knew. This is way back in the day. So it was like when it came to certain things, like we never had a TV in our room. You know, we were real strict. It was all about like come home, do your homework, and then I had to earn something. So I remember when I got the very first Nintendo, my mother was like, the only way you're getting it is you got to graduate. And so, because I was bad in school, even though I was a smart kid, and I went to school for gifted and talented. I was always making my teachers' lives a living hell. So I apologize. because I think it was just I was too hyper and I had a lot of attention, or a lot of times when I would finish my work before everybody, I would always just be like cracking jokes or having to be the class clown and the center of attention. I was always performing and stuff in front of the class, and it irritated my teachers because I needed a lot of attention. Middle child syndrome. So, um, I guess to get to the point is I have not seen the Nightmare on Elm Street series they did in the 90s because I was a kid and I wasn't, my mother was very much strict in making sure like we wasn't watching anything that was like blood, boobs. Cause I don't remember if I told y'all this story. I remember one time my mother took us to it was like a mom and pop video store. This was before Blockbuster. And I was a kid who still do, love horror movies. And a lot of times, there wasn't like how it is now where you can go and you can look up the trailers and all this other stuff and you can know what a movie's about. So a lot of times we had to rely on the movie covers to be like, oh, this looks interesting. This might be a good movie. So I remember one time I saw the cover of Chud. And I was like, and I begged my mother. I was like, I want to see this movie. It looks really good, or whatever. I was like trying to say, oh, it might be something like Gremlins or whatever the case was, because Gremlins like a kids movie, kind of, sort of, but not really. When you look at Gremlins now, I'm like, they geared this towards children. This movie is creepy. This movie is scary, even though it's got like the little gizmo and all other stuff in it. Mogwai, shout out to the Mogwais. But then um, I remember we popped that movie in, and literally the opening sequence of when the woman gets pulled down in the sewer, and then the dog is left up top while Chud eats or whatever. My mother was like, "Take that damn movie." So I only got to see the beginning of that damn film. I never got around to seeing the rest of that movie until years later when Chud popped up on. I think it was on Amazon Prime. Then I was able to watch it. But when I was a kid, I was not playing when it came to us and horror movies, but or scary movies, anything R-rated, whatever the case was. So the only time it worked in the 80s was where it shared the title but had a different plot and cast. And that was another thing too, where they did a lot of those type of shows where they used those names. I think because Friday the 13th, the series, was trying. I do remember seeing that though. They were trying to be like Creep Show, Tales from the Dark Side. They were trying to do stuff like that, but it wasn't a good show. Fight the real enemy. Are we talking about Sinead? It was like they're still saying if Taylor Beyonce people would show up in Brazil, it's like dismissive the achievement of Madonna. People travel all over the world to see her show in Brazil. And well, look, we gonna get into that story about we got a Madonna story and we got a Pink story too, in regards of like how she not appreciative. But here's the thing. Madonna did what she did in Brazil. I don't know why people always gotta be like, well, what about my favorite artist or whatever? It's like, ain't nobody thinking about your favorite artists. Like your faves are doing whatever they're doing wherever they're doing it. Madonna did what she did, gave a free show in Brazil. She already solidified herself. She's put in 40 plus years of paying her dues in this business. She's built her fan base all over the world. She's, pulled in the love and support of her Latin audience because she's incorporated a lot of those sounds in her music. From La Isla Bonita on down, even to Madame X, where a lot of that album was influenced by Portugal and Brazilian culture. So Madonna has laid the foundation of really getting that support. So you want y'all colonizing ass faves to go over to some country because all y'all care about is smashing fucking records. Like, to me, get off my line with that bullshit. Like, that if that's all y'all be caring about is numbers and accolades and all this other stuff, there's too many of y'all pick me's out here with all this other stuff that y'all rather just be so grateful to be in the room and getting the acceptance. And it's all fake. These people don't really love y'all and accept y'all and support y'all. They love you because you're hot. They love you because you're popular. But when you actually speak out against the establishment, watch how fast they flip on you. And shout out to the people that spoke out last night. I should probably say that to for later because the protesters. Shout out to Act Up. The protesters, all of y'all that was up at the GLAAD Awards and stood up and said that GLAAD is complicit in the genocide of what's going on in Gaza because they fucking are. And people are mad at me because they were called out over it. And you'll be all right because you won't say the shit to my face. But anyway, so what else? He said my mom loves Betty Boop too. Yeah, there seems to be a whole situation about people loving that whole thing. Delivery dates for what? For was it for Mother's Day? Oh, you said for the Creep Show Blu-ray. Okay, so Freddy Nightmares, it was like Tales from the Crypt style. Yeah, it's like there was a whole bunch of shows that were doing the whole um that whole Tales from the Dark Side, Tales from the Crypt, Friday the 13th, the series, Freddy's Nightmares. They were all trying to play into that whole situation of, capitalizing, because that was, those anthology series were real popular in the 80s, but a lot of those shows really weren't that good. But a lot of famous people came out of doing them shows. And it's like, I need a estate of Wes Craven and team up with Warner Brothers and Shout Studios subdivision Screen Factory do a box set of A Nightmare on Elm Street as it turns for. Well, they need to do something with A Nightmare on Elm Street because, we sit up in here talking about Friday the 13th. What's going on with Freddy? Like, I already know like they're supposed to be doing a Michael Myers Halloween TV show. That's supposed to be in development. I know some people want to see. I don't know. I know like the next thing with Halloween, everybody's talking about that they need to do a legacy series with Jamie Lloyd's character and do right by Rachel, the Foster sister who was a real badass final girl in part 4, but then they did part 5 and they did her dirty. So, but I heard that the actress that played Rachel said that she doesn't even want to come back. But I'm like, girl, you better reconsider because you are a fan fade. And people are just hate the way they did her in part 5. But yeah, what's going on with Freddie and that whole IP? Because I really feel like y'all could take the whole like there's so many undertones, like there's so many queer undertones with A Nightmare on Elm Street, especially part 2 and part 3. People see it more in part 2 because part 2 was known as the gay sequel with the final boy that they had up in there, and then the actor was actually gay in real life. But part 3, Dream Warriors, there was some homoerotic scenes up in there too. Remember Joey? The one who couldn't talk? And then at one time, the nurse had his tongue or whatever. There was some homoerotic scenes with him, among other things. There was a lot of homoerotic scenes in that movie. But I like Dream Warriors. Shout out to Patricia Arquette. Yes, I do remember Critters. That was such a stupid movie, but back in the day, I lived for it. And I like the whole idea of Critters. Can you imagine if they try to remake Critters today? Maybe they need to get somebody like they would really have to make it like it could be cheesy, but not cheesy good, not cheesy bad. And I think maybe somebody like James Gunn would have to hook it up, like how he did with Slither, which was a good damn movie. It kind of gave me that vibe with that film. Yeah, Tales from the Dark Side. You know what? That theme song, whenever I would hear that theme song, that music used to creep me out. That's the only thing I remember from it. I do kind of wish that Tales from the Dark Side actually was on, um, that it was available on one of the streaming services to watch, because I'd definitely be watching it. Like recently, and this is probably because my father grew up on, showing it and watching it, and I would watch like the marathons on Sci-Fi Channel. I've been watching the Twilight Zone. I love the Twilight Zone, the old ones from back in the day with the black and white ones with Rod Sterling, not the ones they try to do with Forrest Whitaker and all them other ones. But I actually every now and then, like last night, I was doing a marathon of the Twilight Zone because I like that show. So I'm like, I don't know. I think I'm an old soul. Like I like watching a lot of old stuff before my time. I love GHPP. Wait, what's GHPP? Am I having a brain fart? It's like, what's that? Oh my gosh. Don't even remind me of Ghoulies. I actually love that movie too. Ghoulies and damn, what was remember that movie? Did y'all remember seeing that movie Trolls? Was it Trolls or Trolls 2 where the troll turned into the little girl, whatever it came? That was such a horrible movie. And I believe Noah Hathaway from The Never Ending Story was in that. That movie was so terrible, but for some reason it's like a guilty pleasure. So yeah, Trolls is a guilty pleasure. Ghoulies, I actually like that movie. Freaked me out when I was a kid. It said May 14th we're getting deleted scenes for the first time ever. So yeah, child, y'all taking me down memory lane with all these with these nostalgic horror movies, TV shows. Like I am a huge fan of like 80s, 90s scary films, and I watch a lot of it on like there's been a lot that I haven't seen that I missed, like Sorority. What was it? Not Sorority Row, but it was what was it, Sorority Massacre, one of them damn things. Like, there's a lot of the old school 80s, 90s horror stuff I watch on Shudder, and then if it's not on Shudder, I'll check it out on Prime Video, and if it's not on there, then I usually go to Tubi. And yeah, even though Tubi got them damn commercials and they get on my damn nerves every now and again, they do have great old classic. Well, I have to say, they have a lot of really good classic horror stuff on there. So that's usually why those are the places that I usually go to get my fix. And then I have subscribed, although I may have to cancel it because I have not been watching it in a long time. I actually am a subscriber of Screambox too, which Screambox I believe is under Bloody Disgusting. Like, they have their own streaming service. So I watch stuff on Screambox too. They got some pretty good stuff on there as well. There was like a gay horror movie on there called LGBT. First of all, that movie was terrible, but I like the concept of them doing like a killer slasher, gay slasher, or whatever, which is an idea I actually have that I need to work on. I've literally been working on this thing for over a decade. When I was talking about it with a film school buddy of mine, that I have an idea of something like that I want to do. I'm not going to reveal it on here because somebody might steal it, but just know that I am working on a gay slasher script. So I think the reason why is because they don't take themselves seriously. It's just they're having fun acting stupid. Yeah, that's another thing too. Like, if you like I love a campy horror film. If you're gonna make something, just make it fun. Did you see Doppelganger? I have not, but since you telling me that, I may have to check that out. I just pay for Shutter and Screenbox via YouTube, which I'm fine. I only pay for four. Well, maybe I need to do what you do because I be paying for too many damn services. I think I'm paying for at least 10. Can I find ways? I need to find ways to get shit for free because I'm tired of paying for stuff. I've been paying. I feel like I would just be working to pay for streaming services because I do, and I don't even get a chance to watch a lot of stuff. But yeah, I do have Shutter and Screenbox. I didn't know you can get it through YouTube. I just have the individual apps and I just pay for all of that stuff that way. But anyway, let's move on and talk about the MTV movie and TV, whatever the fuck it's called. Movie and TV awards. I don't know why y'all want to change it. You could just call it the MTV Movie Awards, but I guess they want to be on then. But whatever. But I do appreciate the fact that they've kind of taken the more non-binary route in regards of how they do the nominations, and they include male and females all in, you know, under one little umbrella of of who they're nominating. They don't just do best female, you know, action role or best male, or they don't do all of that where they're like segregating, because the times have changed and people are, you know, fluid. It's not just, the world ain't black and white. So insiders close to production told TMZ that the movie and TV awards will skip 2024. Now, although it's unclear why the network is canceling this year's ceremony, the SAG-AFTRA and Writers Guild of America strikes possibly contributed to the postponement. The event will return next year with an updated format. Now, Drew Barrymore, who's 49, agreed to host the 2024 edition after skipping out last year's show, according to Variety. In May of 2023, Drew stepped down from the hosting gig in support of the striking Writers Guild members. Because remember, when she was initially going to do it, but they were talking about, cancel Drew Barrymore because she's agreeing to step over the picket line to, support these people when they're taking away our jobs. And I think it was because, from what I've heard, the writer strike, actor strike, like, they're under different contracts than those who are doing a talk show. So when you do a talk show, you are under a completely different contract as you would be if you are an actor, SAG-AFTRA member, which I guess explains why when y'all saw The View was still working without writers, that Whoopi Goldberg, even though she's an EGOT winner, was still showing up to work because she's under a completely different contract than someone who is a working SAG-AFTRA talent. So she said, I have listened to the writers, and in order to truly respect them, I will pivot from hosting the MTV Movie and TV Awards live in solidarity with the strike. Everything we celebrate and honor about movies and television is born out of their creation. And until a solution is reached, I'm choosing to wait, and I'll be watching from home, and hopefully you will join me. And I can't wait to be a part of this next year when I can truly celebrate everything that MTV has created. which is a show that allows fans to choose who the awards will go to and is truly inclusive, the statement continued. Now, held at the Barker Hangar in Los Angeles, the award show still aired in May 2023 without a host, which I heard was a disaster. I didn't watch it because, quiet as it's kept, I can't tell you the last time I watched an award show from MTV Movie and TV Awards. Now, in regards of the VMAs, I do watch that. Like, I'll record it, but a lot of times, no shade. Okay, it's a little shade. I don't know why I always say no shade button and I fling the shade. Maybe to soften the blow. Maybe I'm doing it that way. Like it's kind of like, when you're from the South and they go, bless your heart. Well, we know what that means. They just try to be nice about it. I haven't really watched the MTV Movie and TV Awards because I don't care. But I feel like when it comes to the music stuff, music videos and things, I think it's because you want to see what celebrity shows up. You want to see the performances. You want to be in the moment. So what I do is I just record it on Philo. And 9 times out of 10, I spend more time fast forwarding through everything because I'm like, this artist is whack. You're not giving what needs to be given. You're not a good stage performer. The vocals are a mess. Like, there's always something. Like, a lot of these new generation artists, a lot of y'all are not putting the blood, sweat, and tears that a lot of the people from my generation have put in to really give a good show. It just gives lazy. It gives uninspired. The music industry, you could literally see it, imploding right before our very eyes. But, according to the people, what they said on Twitter, they said actors such as Pedro Pascal and Jennifer Coolidge received their what sidebar. Have y'all been seeing that picture? I really hope this is not AI and I hope it's his real body. But have y'all been seeing the pictures of Pedro Pascal on social media where he's like practically naked and it's basically like it's up comes up to his like a little low to the of the waist where you see the little V line and he's like I'm like, chill. Now y'all already know that one of these days, I'm putting out there in the universe, like, I'm going to marry Pedro Pascal. Let me live my fantasy. Don't try to ruin it, because that man is fucking sexy to me. Like, I love, well, first of all, I love men, but I have a weakness for Latin men. And Pedro Pascal would be like, I just know that he just be up to some nasty shit in the bedroom. And that's my type. Shout out to the freaks. But I'm like, oh, he out here thirst trapping. It seemed like a lot of the male performers out here thirst trapping. The other day, you had Ricky Martin out here thirst trapping, showing off his feet, and had a look like a towel in front of his he had these pair of tight underwear. I'm like, don't be trying to hide the goods. You know what we came here to see. But anyway, some of the people on Twitter said the following about the movie and TV awards. They said worst award show ever. Another person put, wow, MTV has really fallen off. This has got to be the worst award show I've ever seen. Another person said, what a terrible production this is. Another person put, it should have been postponed until the writers came back or at least a Zoom fan audience was assembled. I don't know what really could have helped the movie and TV awards. Maybe what could have helped it is the fact that they could have just brought in some funny writers or whatever, and then you get like a comedian in there that can really just be free flowing or whatever. Because there was something that Jerry Seinfeld was out here saying that, oh well, people can't say nothing no more because everybody's woke and everybody's offended easily. First of all, I feel like as a comedian, you should be able to say whatever you want to say as long as it's there's some creativity behind the jokes. And I feel like people who are complaining, like Jerry Seinfeld, I just feel like a lot of y'all have gotten lazy and y'all just want to be applauded for your laziness. One person posted under an article because Daniel Narcisio posted something about Jerry Seinfeld, and one person posted this meme that said, and I think I reposted it in my stories. It said, "Next comedian that claims wokeness ruined comedy has to share the joke they think they can't say and explain why it's funny." First of all, I don't need you explaining why the joke is funny, but I do need to feel like if you're going to say some shit, like stand on business and really be open and honest about, the joke or be at least creative. Because I was trying to look for the, hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Because, yeah, one of my friends, Daniel Narcisio was posting, why am I, the minute I open up my social media, I'm looking at butt cheeks. That's the one thing That's the one thing about social media that I always find hilarious is the fact that I could never just open up anything. Excuse me. It's like I feel like my allergies has really just been irritating me lately. But anyway, but what I had said was, you know what? At the end of the day, if you're gonna say something, just be clever about whatever joke it is that you put out there. Like, I don't understand why people are out here complaining and say, "Oh, I can't say this and I can't say that," and they're really trying to come down on destroying our, whatever, whatever. And it's just like, as a comedian, you should be able to say stuff as long as you could be creative about the joke. I just feel like people like Jerry Seinfeld have had the privilege to say whatever they want to say their entire career. And now that people are coming after you because your jokes are just lame as fuck, now y'all want to sit and cry wokeness or whatever. And don't even get me started on his wife allegedly sending $5,000 to fund a counter, protest against the people who are, protesting against the people about this whole genocide that's going on with the Palestinians. They said Miss Jessica put in some coin, and it also had to do with, I believe, the guy that who Tom Brady told Jeff Ross not to make jokes about. That was at the roast. Forgot his name, nor do I give a shit, but y'all know who I'm talking about. So, um, maybe they just need that. Y'all need some people out here who are clever, come up with some funny jokes, and then make MTV Movie and TV Awards actually watchable. Because here's the thing, I will say this: even though a lot of movies have been hit or miss these days, and haven't a lot of people haven't really been going to movies as much as they used to. I feel like maybe they need to figure out how to make this show entertaining to get people to watch. And a lot of these shows that and movies that people are watching, it's a lot of streaming stuff, a lot of things that's in the movies. So they just need to figure out how to make this show interesting because, yeah, it's like if you don't have a host, the shows are pretty much lame. This is like, for example, when I worked Andrew Schultz's concert, he was saying some real offensive stuff. He was talking about women, men, gays, self-sucking, ejaculation, trans people. Like, he was saying all kinds of stuff, and I was in tears with the jokes. But he was being smart and clever with how he was delivering them, which is probably why he was like, it was a requirement like, do not film this show because when y'all say stuff and here y'all go, y'all put things out of context. Here y'all go to my, oh, so and so's homophobic, so and so's transphobic, so and so's anti-woman. Let's cancel them. So I feel like society has made it hard for people to truly come out here and express themselves and say stuff because you were not in the room to understand the context of what they were saying or to see the buildup of the joke. Y'all hear the punchline and y'all are so quick because you don't agree with or fall in line with what they're saying. You want their whole life destroyed. And I hate shit like that. So let me know what y'all think down below. What would you think it would take for people to even get interested in the MTV Movie and TV Awards again, or any award show? Or do you feel like award shows at this point are on the decline, that a lot of the newer generation, like Gen Z, Gen Alpha, just don't care about award shows as much as, Gen X and millennials have? Because MTV was launched during a time of what? Gen X or Zennials, like came out in what, the early 1980s, but didn't really hit big until like almost the mid 80s. Because this year, I think it's celebrating its 40th anniversary. So I feel like around 1983, 1984 is when MTV really started to blow up. So, with that being said, I just feel like, the generations, which is like Gen X and millennials who grew up on MTV, the newer generations don't really care about MTV like that anymore because they're not watching MTV. They're getting their information on TikTok. They're getting their information on Instagram. They're watching videos on YouTube. So streaming is where, and social media is where kids spend more time on. So they could care less about MTV. I've quiet as it's kept. I feel like they need to move the MTV Awards, both the VMAs and the Movie and TV Awards, to YouTube because, or Netflix or one of the streaming services, like they've been doing a couple of the award shows because nobody's watching these channels. So I say all that to say, let me know what you guys think of this story down below. Okay, so we have topics. I mean, not topics, we have comments. I'm always saying we got topics. He said, I do YouTube Premium. They get YouTube Music, and you could pay primetime channels and have the cable. Isn't YouTube Premium expensive? I've always heard like they charge like 70, 80, or the 80 around $70 a month or something or another. Like I've always heard that they're really expensive. Me, I like if I want to get all those other extra premium channels that I don't get, I pay for Philo, which is like $20 a month. So I'm not that upset that I pay that for that with that because it comes with a DVR and I could just fast forward through the commercials and stuff. But this is basically how I was watching, you know, RuPaul's Drag Race and a lot of the Walking Dead spinoffs. And now, the second season of Interview with the Vampire is back. So I'm using it to watch that and stuff. So there's a couple of things on there that I actually get and We TV. And they said they should just cancel the MTV Movie Awards. Same with the VMAs. I think they've used the VMAs as just a way to get people to perform, but MTV doesn't do anything. Yeah, that's true. They haven't done anything music related in over a decade. And I do agree that y'all just want to get, artists to get up there and perform. And that's cute or whatever, but I just feel like it needs to move to YouTube because quiet as it's kept, we get all of our music videos from YouTube. Like the minute Megan Thee Stallion drops her music video the other day, or any video, um, I go to YouTube and watch it on my TV. So I don't get why and it said Radical Optimism debuts at number 2 on the Billboard 200, outdoing the peak of Future Nostalgia. I will say this, it is a good album. It's not my top. I don't know. It's probably I feel like Radical Optimism is gonna be one of those albums that grows on me. Um, but I do feel like I feel like this Radical Optimism album, it feels more like a live, like an album that translates better live than listening to it in your ears. Because I was like, these songs aren't really hitting it for me. But seeing Dula Pete, yes, I'm always gonna call her that. Shout out to Wendy Williams. So hearing Dula Pete perform these songs live, it sells the album a lot better. And I feel like that has been helping her, that she's been traveling around the United States, really putting in that work. Her, Kylie Minogue, a lot of the imports from overseas are coming over here and doing that because you have to do that now in order to get people interested. Because I don't know, America's a weird place. This is Betty Damn Boop. Who's that? Is that my mother? I don't think she has YouTube, but anyway. I was talking about Betty Boop earlier, and here she is watching the show. And it was in 2021, Billboard and Blog said it's like she lets the singles flop, but went harder and harder during album promotion week in the States. Is it her or is it her label? Because I feel like some people are saying that when she released Houdini, first of all, she was taking too long in between single releases. When Houdini was gaining momentum, then she drops this other song, and then the second single, and then when the third single came out, you didn't really give people a chance to get single number 2 to blow up before y'all went in with single number 3. So I feel like y'all need to do it. You know who also needs to slow down too? Charlie XCX. I feel like she's already released half the album singles, half the album already on YouTube. We're already up to single number 4. And I believe on this new album, there's like what, 10 tracks? So that's like almost half the damn album. And I'm liking the songs, but girl, first of all, I'm already disappointed. Like I love the songs, but these songs are too short. Her latest single, 360, is like what, 2.5 minutes. And I'm like, damn, there's no bridge. There's nothing. It's like it just before the song, I get into the song, it's over, which sucks. But I know the song doesn't suck. I love the song. Like I'm obsessed. But these songs be too short for me. Except Vultures too, Chris. He would be a top like you. You're gonna switch position. Who is a top? You talking about Pedro Pascal? Um, well, look, I've always said this, that yes, in real life, I am a top. I did the whole bottoming thing when I was in my early 20s. Realized it wasn't for me. I didn't like it. Too much work in the cleaning out department and all other stuff. So shout out to all the bottoms that y'all able to do that. However, I said for the right one, if I want to make a relationship work, I may reconsider. So it depends. I gotta be madly in love with the person to be like, okay, now you get the cookies. So I saw someone on Facebook saying that Nikki is starting her shows at 11 to midnight, yet people still look. I told you that Nicki Minaj, when she was in New York and I worked her show at Madison Square Garden, her call time, she came on late. It was almost 10 o'clock. And I remember there was some of the fans that I was talking to in the audience, and they were thinking like, okay, so what time is she going on? And I was having conversations with them like, you know what? It's a like she should not. First of all, the way that she structured the show, especially with having Monica up in there, which a lot of people were saying Monica in the middle of the show was a mistake. Why would you bring her? Now Monica's good at what she does or whatever, but Monica does not fit a Pink Friday 2 tour type of situation. She should have at least had another rapper or something in there. Even if you want to fuck with the female rappers, because you know Nicki got her issues with a lot of female rappers, you don't necessarily need to bring a female in there. Nicki gives me a lot of the girls that I grew up with in New York, which is I know a lot of females that are friendlier with dudes than they are with girls. A lot of girls, a lot of y'all get jealous and whatever the case is. So she, to me, gives me like she is someone who connects more with guys than she would her own gender. And that happens a lot. Especially if you're in New York, a lot of girls don't get along with each other. You see, I know a lot of girls who have a lot of guy friends. My sister's one of them that hangs out more or less with guys than she does with a lot of females because there's always some issues or whatever the case is, always some drama. So some people are like that. It's just how it is in New York, unfortunately. But yeah, she was starting. She did her show late, and there was some complaints from the Barbs because she was, the show went on a little too late, and I feel like no shade, but she ended her show literally around the same time Madonna ended hers when I went, which was around 12:10 and midnight. After midnight, she ended that show. So yeah, she's doing it late too, but I do feel like, yeah, why is everybody on Madonna's case, but y'all not giving that same energy to other people? Like you're starting your show late too. So don't be surprised if you hear some people come out and start suing her because they already opened that Pandora's box with Madonna. Because I'm hearing they don't want protests or pro-Palestine. I'm seeing it after Susan Sarandon was fired and Melissa Pereira was afraid of being in that space. Who don't want protests or pro-Palestine? There's a lot of look, there's protests been going on everywhere. They protested Eurovision. They were protesting in front of the GLAAD Media Awards last night in New York. There was even some members, some protesters managed to get into the GLAAD Media Awards and were protesting, which, if you hear the video closer, you know what? I need to pull this damn video up. Please hold. I'm gonna go to Lady Bunny page and I'm going to pull this story up because I need y'all to hear this, but I'm probably going to save that for later on in the show. So that way y'all be able to hear it when we get around to it. But just know it's coming. when it melds in with a lot of the show that I'm going to be doing. So he says, sadly, a lot of comedians aren't funny anymore. Well, that's true. Or a lot of the times they're so Hollywood that they're afraid to say anything in order, as a way of, out of fear of being canceled. So there's a lot of that too. MTV took over in '84, and they had more videos to show before they just played the same videos. As I said, they're celebrating their 40th anniversary this year, which I believe is why the VMAs have returned to New York, but they're doing it in Nassau County. So actually, not too far from me, they're going to be doing the MTV VMAs this year at the UBS Arena. It said, "Oh, YouTube Premium is $13.99. It's a lot." But I guess maybe not, because it's no different than like paying for HBO Max and first of all, I feel like I pay more for Hulu than I would YouTube Premium. Like Hulu was costing me damn near $20. Which reminds me, I gotta cancel Stars because I got Stars for like for 6 months for a cheap price. I gotta cancel because next month is when that number goes up, and I ain't paying $30 for no damn Hulu. Y'all out your mind, especially when I already got it on Disney Plus. So y'all not gonna get me. I said Shutter and Screenbox, but yeah, actually Screenbox is the only channel that I pay annually for. Like I pay an annual fee for that. Everything else is month to month. YouTube Plus is an option, skips ad promos, all videos all the time. So you know what? Maybe I would look into YouTube Plus and see how it is. First of all, look, YouTube is allowing me at this point to monetize this channel. So when people sit up here trying to criticize my numbers and shit, I'm like, okay, and like I'm building my channel slowly. And the reason why it's taking me a lot longer is because I'm not willing to put on my knee pads and suck no industry dick to get to be where a lot of these other artists are. Now, however y'all got where y'all need to get, that's fine. But I'm going to sit up in here and I'm going to stand 10 toes down on a lot of shit I say, whether it's an unpopular opinion or not. So it is what it is. But I don't know. I'll probably look into that. And you know what? With my channel growing and all this other stuff, I'm gonna monetize the channel at one point. But that's why at the bottom, if y'all look at my scroll, I have put my Cash App in there, the Chris F. So that way, until then, y'all can send me a little coin over there because, well, I don't know, because it might be harder with YouTube because YouTube, when you monetize, you got to spend more time watching your mouth than anything. So it's annoying with that. Child, I'm tired of rubbing my nose and shit. It's looking like I'm on the booger sugar. First of all, I don't do that shit no more because number one, they be putting so much stuff in these drugs now. So, with the fentanyl and all the mess, I don't mess with drugs. I'm scared now. Back in the day, yes. When I was born, I had shit to do when I was in the circus. But I don't even do. I don't fuck with drugs anymore. But funny enough, I didn't do the JT story yet. That's coming up. I said, plus you work also at Madison Square Garden. The others focus on their brand. I mean, I am focusing on my brand and stuff as well. But yeah, but me working and doing all this other stuff, I'm not as focused on really having the time to really build the channel. So little by little, what I've been noticing, I've been getting a lot more followers, subscriptions, all this other stuff. Like people are subscribing to the channel, people liking the stuff. The numbers have been going up. Is because I've also been cutting up the topics, and so people are watching the shorter videos. And I've also noticed even the longer videos are even picking up. Cause it's like, oh, y'all like listening to me run my mouth for 3 hours? But but it was like if I had the time where if I wasn't working and I solely depended on people just sending me money and stuff, then yeah, I would have had a lot more time and energy to put into building the channel and stuff. But I'm busy doing so many other things. So you said YouTube Plus is not for monetized channels. Well, I guess I won't be getting YouTube Plus. But yeah, it's like I've been kind of going back and forth with that. So should I monetize the channel? Should I not monetize the channel? Who knows? Maybe I'll just do a Patreon. I'll do a super chats, that sort of thing. So I'll look into other avenues as a way to get around, so that way I can still keep this mouth the way it is. Because I don't want to have to be a slave to the YouTube rules where I can't say what I want to say and give it to y'all unfiltered, as the show is called. So I will find other ways where I can get a little cointada while I'm doing this show without having to officially monetize it. Which I keep getting emails from YouTube and I keep ignoring them. They're like, you can monetize your channel. I was like, I don't know, bitch. I'm just not ready to do it yet. Still building the network. But it's taken me a long time to do. But ever since I took this show into my own hands, I realized that it's going a lot faster because the algorithms is pushing the show out. Oh, I love you as well. Thank you for all, thank you all for the support. Like, I definitely appreciate it. It's not, and I'm not just saying that shit just because, I'm just a fake and phony. First of all, I can't be. I'm a Virgo. Like, we don't like fake and phony ass people, so we're not going to give it to you back. But I definitely appreciate all those of you who take the time to watch the live streams, to comment, to interact with the show, to give your opinions, good, bad, or indifferent, as long as it's respectful. And that's that. Hold on. Because I was like, let me put this at the end so I don't close up this damn thing at the last, by accident. I said, I'm all for building a channel. You can even recommend you to friends. That's all. Well, thank you. And that's another thing too. If you just share it, recommend, be like, oh, this child's a mess. You need to watch their show. Robert was told me in a message that well, I don't think he'll be upset if I tell this, but he was saying that even one of his friends that he recommended to watch the show likes the show, and my mouth could be a little, sometimes, but they love that my off, kilter type humor and all that stuff. Those aren't the exact words, but you know what I'm saying, and you know what I mean. But anyway, let's move on and let's talk about Madonna. I just like saying her name like that, even though I know it's not her name. Who has a lot to celebrate. Celebration, come together in every nation. Holiday. Okay, let me stop. Celebration, bitch. She got a lot to celebrate because, she's out here breaking historical records. So congratulations to the queen who, has been doing the damn thing. Let me pull up her picture. So, she's become the only woman ever to have 6 tours that grossed over $100 million each at the box office. The 65-year-old celebration tour, which was delayed because of her life-threatening health crisis last year, turned out to be a thunderous financial triumph. Now, her run of 80 live concerts sold 1.1 million tickets to the tune of 225.4 million in revenue, per the tally by Billboard Box Score. Now, after opening at the O2 Arena in London last year, the tour whirled around the globe before concluding this past Saturday with a free performance held, not this past Saturday, that would be last Saturday, because Saturday was yesterday, and yesterday Madonna wasn't performing. So, just so y'all know. So they said this past Saturday, so that was last week, with a free performance held at the world-renowned Copacabana Beach in Rio de Janeiro. Besides Madonna, the only 2 other acts to have 6 tours gross 100 million plus are the Rolling Stones, Bruce Springsteen, U2, and the Eagles. Her latest concert run is Madonna's highest grossing tour since her MDNA tour sold $2.2 million tickets, for a gross of $305.2 million in 2012. Now, the Material Girl's most lucrative tour of all time was the Sticky and Sweet tour in 2008 and 2009, which sold 3.5 million tickets for a $407.7 million gross. Madonna welcomed an estimated 1.6 million people to her free concert in Rio over the weekend, a record for a female artist. Now, in spite of the wear and tear of a grueling 7 months on tour, Madonna soldiered her way through the grand finale with the help of a knee brace. Her current tour kicked off at the O2 Arena in London this past October after being postponed because of her shocking ICU stay this past June. Well, of 2023, I should say. And then they said in November during the Accuser Arena in Paris, Madonna finally revealed that she suffered lung and kidney failure during her life-threatening health scare. So she was talking about that she was, we already know about the bacterial infection. She said nobody knew about it and all this other stuff. She didn't have the strength. She had no energy. It was taken from her. So the 2 weeks went by and she had barely any energy. She couldn't drink espressos. She said, I could drink espressos, 4 Red Bulls. Nothing woke me up. I had no life force. And she basically was talking about how her kids saved her and they kept her going. And then, the love and support of her children helped her find the strength to get better so that way she can give this tour. And you know what? This, in my opinion, was one of the best tours of her career. And I was so glad that I had the opportunity to see her live and I was able to witness the whole situation. And that was because, and funny enough, I had a ticket long before, the whole situation happened because my initial date that I was supposed to go on the tour was in the summer, but because she was in the hospital, I think it was like literally 2 weeks before this thing was about to go on. Like she was about, was it 2 weeks or was it a month? It was. We was getting real close to that date, and she couldn't go, because she was heavily in rehearsals and stuff. And if you saw like her at the Copacabana, she was rehearses for long periods of time, and the fans were out there recording it and showing you of her, out there, you know, rehearsing. Madonna don't play no games when it comes to putting on a live show, no matter the age. Like she's really going to give you 110%. So, and then they changed it up, and then I wound up seeing her in January, which was a great experience. And I was so glad that I had the opportunity to, get a ticket because I remember when those tour dates dropped, my roommate who worked at the Garden before I managed to get a job there, he was telling me like, I said, can you do your magic? Like, can you go down and get me he got me a discounted ticket in a good section because he worked there. And I was able to see the Queen. And I had good seats too. If you see my pictures and stuff on my Instagram, you see where I was. But anyway, so they said her other tours to reach the $100 million mark, as we mentioned a couple of them earlier, but it was the Reinvention Tour, Confessions Tour, MDNA Tour, and the Rebel Heart Tour. So I know you see this picture here. This is her celebrating, the end of the tour, and where she was out partying with Diplo, who, I love me some Diplo, child. But he said in the comments, he said, I feel like we need to go on a tour doing B2B sets. And I was like, now there's an idea, bitch. Like, we definitely want to see that. And, Anita liked to comment, and, you know, the other pictures. Go ahead, Queen. And then here she is with Pablo Vittar. And yeah, so Madonna, congratulations to you. You are definitely an icon for a reason. And, often imitated, never duplicated, as she likes to say. And so, look, I'm looking forward to the next tour that she does. I'm looking forward to seeing what the next thing in her career is going to be. I hope it's going to be a new album and all the good stuff. Sidebar: I know we should probably compare the two, whatever the case is, but I have a question. And again, I'm intentionally asserting this into the Madonna thing. Do people care about this upcoming Chromatical Ball that's going to be on HBO at the end of the month? Like, do people really care about Lady Gaga on this tour? Because first of all, wasn't it almost 2 years ago that she released that tour? Or she was on that tour, and then now you're waiting 2 years later to release this tour and get people interested in this tour, whatever the case is, or to even watch it. Now, here's the thing. I've seen the YouTube clips, and I've watched a bit of the show and stuff online. And me personally, I do like, look, I feel like they said that she was smart because she performed a lot of those songs from the Fame and the Fame Monster and Chromatica. I hope she did a couple of songs of Born This Way too, because that Born This Way album, there are some bops on there. I love Government Hooker, Heavy Metal Lover. Like, I like a lot of those. I like a lot of them when she went more industrial with a lot of the stuff. And she incorporated a lot of the industrial stuff in the thing. So regardless of what you think of Lady Gaga, I do like a lot of her songs. Even though, I do feel like she's phony in regards to a lot of the political activism and shit that she does, whatever the case is. But for the most part, I do like her songs. She does give a good show. She definitely has great breath control when she's up there doing the choreography. And I know a lot of the fans are upset because they're not getting a follow-up to Chromatica this year, and that she's opting to do a Vegas residency of doing jazz songs rather than going pop Gaga, which the fans want back. They want that version of Lady Gaga to come back. So I am curious to watch this tour because, like me, I told you, I love a little razzle dazzle. I like flashy stuff. I love costumes. I love choreography. I love pyro. I love the drama of it all. As you could tell, I am very dramatic when I do this show. But I'm looking forward to. I'm curious to watch the show. Like, I'm definitely going to watch it when it comes out. But I just feel like, why did she wait so long with that? But so speaking of which, Madonna, I guess I say all this to say, even though it just popped in my head, don't wait 2 damn years to give us the celebration tour. Like, sis, you need to have that live album, that live version of that tour that you shot in Mexico City. It needs to be out by the before. Should it be before, or should we just like give her a couple of months? Maybe during the third quarter of 2024. I almost said 2023. Like, I almost forgot what year we in. So 2024. Maybe at the third quarter. Maybe around the holidays they can kind of release it on Peacock. No, not Peacock. She's doing Paramount Plus, right? So maybe we can get the celebration tour around the holidays. Like, release it around Thanksgiving, and then just in time for Christmas, you got the DVD box set or whatever the case is, live album along with the DVD, maybe a little documentary stuff up in there. So that way the Madonna fans, because of the holidays, that'd be the smart thing to do. Release that out there into the world around the holidays. So that way people know what to get people for Christmas. So you got to think like a business person. Like, the best time to get your coin is around the holidays. So that'd be the perfect time for that to come out. So let's shoot for third quarter of 2024, when Madonna needs to release the celebration tour, DVD. Release it on the streaming service in November. I kind of want her to do a whole theatrical thing, kind of similar to Taylor Swift with the Eras tour. And then you have Beyonce, which we're still waiting on. Renaissance. When's that coming out? Like, you already released that in the theater. We still haven't gotten a date on when you're going to release that thing on, for the fans to purchase. So I guess that's all I got to say on that. I'm tired of repeating myself, but you know what I mean. But anyway, so let me know what you guys think down in the comments below on this whole story, including the Lady Gaga stuff that I asked, because I'm genuinely curious, and inquiring minds, my nosy ass, I should say, wants to know. Okay, so we have comments, and Robert says, or so how Taylor Swift got to have $1 billion grossing tour and the one to impossibly beat. One ticket cost somewhere to 1732 before fees and stuff. Added the fees and taxes, it went over 2K, which explains also why a lot of the Swifties are flocking overseas to go see Taylor Swift because the hotels and everything are cheap. You just got to do hotel, airfare, and then the tickets for the concert are relatively cheap. This is why a lot of people are running overseas to, see her because y'all out of Ticketmaster is so greedy when it comes to the what's happening with how y'all charging people for tickets and stuff. Like it's just disgusting almost. And something needs to be done about that. Felix said, I watched the Rio show again last night with my friend Steven, who went to see her with me in Miami. I hadn't seen, really? You haven't seen it? Like, funny enough, and shout out to Robert, because, I was being persistent. Like, I told y'all the other day, I was literally online looking for a way to watch the live stream. Kept getting cut off, kept getting removed. As soon as they put it up, YouTube was on it. They were getting rid of it. Then I happened to find one that someone sent me in the comments because when I put stuff out there, and that's why I love a lot of the followers and the fans and stuff, especially like on my Facebook. I was like, they keep removing the damn the links of the Madonna, in Rio show, and people were dropping the links and stuff in the comments. So I kept going to them and clicking on them, and I managed to watch one that lasted up for a while, and that was on Twitch, and that one got taken down. So after the live stream and everything was over, once she was officially done in Rio, then I noticed like, okay, and I knew this was going to happen, but my impatient ass, I wanted to watch it because we was having issues. There were people having issues with the VPNs or trying to be able to watch the streams or subscribe to the channel that the show was going to air on because people don't read Portuguese, whatever the case is. And if I had my ex roommate Ricardo, if we were still living together, I would have asked him, okay, can you translate this or whatever because he's Brazilian. Speaking of which, I wouldn't have been able to ask him because he was there. Like I went on his, I think I said that to Robert, my ex roommate Ricardo, actually was at the Rio show because a friend of his, because he knew somebody, because a friend of his got him and another friend to go to the event, and they were literally by the stage and got to be that close to Madonna while she was performing in Rio. And plus, he's from Brazil, so he got family. His mother and everybody lives out there, so it wouldn't have been hard for him to do the whole, have somewhere to go because his family lives in Rio. Well, in Brazil. I don't know if it's Rio necessarily, but his family lives in Brazil and he's from there. So, um, yeah, so he actually got to go. So he was lucky. But I would have asked him, like, well, damn, how do you get into this whole subscription, whatever the case was, whatever, and then, whatever. So I would have asked him that, but unfortunately, like I said, he was there, so he would have been able to help me. And I don't know them time zones, chair. So I'm glad you finally got to see it, but yeah, finally, to make long story short, I was able to finally get to watch it because um there was a link that was dropped, and then I went on it. I was like, let me watch this now. So I literally stayed at 4 a.m. watching the whole damn thing because I was afraid. I was like, if I wait the next, because I've done this before, like I was like, oh yeah, I'll open it up, I'll save it in the queue on YouTube, and then I'll wake up the next day and I'll watch it, and it'll be there. I'll wake up the next morning and the videos be taken down. I'm like, damn. So I was like, I ain't wasting no time. I ain't taking no chances this time. So I just clicked it open and it was there and I watched it. So, but I'm glad you actually got to experience it. And then, yeah, it was like when you watch it and you get to hear things that you missed. Well, I'll say I missed when I went to the tour the first time. Like they were playing Sheik's I Want Your Love when she's going up to do the whole, I'm on the list and Bob is like denying her entry into the club. I didn't know that was the song that they were playing. I couldn't really hear it. I'm busy paying attention to their banter and stuff. I didn't hear the song that they were playing. But in the thing, when you watch it back in the concert, you hear all the extra nuances and things. And then I didn't know there was one of the outfits that she wears. I think when she comes out after Nothing Really Matters, that outfit is paying homage to an outfit she wore on her first tour 40 years ago. So it's like all these little nuances that I didn't catch the first time, I'm catching the second time. So it says, but for her going through what she went through last year, she should be praised for doing an 81 date tour. Absolutely. And this is why, you know what? And then there was a question they were asking is like, do you think that people are changing their views in regards of age in performing, like ageism in the industry in regards of people out there performing? Cher still performs and she's almost 80. She's like in her late 70s. I told y'all, like, I worked the Billy Joel concert the other day. I think it was Thursday or whatever the case was. He celebrated while he was performing. He celebrated his 75th birthday, so he's 10 years older than Madonna. And he's up there like he be up there playing the piano. Then at one point he does "Start Me Up" by the Rolling Stones. He's throwing the microphone stand up in the air, twirling it around, like he's doing all kinds of crazy stuff on stage at 75, and people are living for it. So if people can sit up there and love what Billy Joel is doing, and he's 10 years older than her, but then again, some people say, oh, he's a man. Of course, they're not going to go as hard on him as they do women. And I do agree to a certain extent that people, especially women, y'all are harder on yourselves with that whole ageism, especially when it comes to women. When it's like, you do know that it's inevitable. We're all going to get old. Luckily, for those of us who will get to live that long, we're all gonna, it's inevitable. We cannot stop the aging process. That we can put all kinds of shit that we want in our face and our bodies to defy expectations and give the illusion that we're younger than we actually are. But we're going to age. It just is what it is. There's no way to stop it. So I feel like we need to stop being so hard on people for getting older. There's so many cultures that value older people, that take care of their grandparents, whatever the case is. But we seem like to be the only nation that's just real nasty and rude when it comes to older people. I love older people. Where do you think I learned all the shit I learned from? I ain't learning from no child. I learned it because I hung out with a lot of older people and took that wisdom that I learned from them, and it trickled on down. So we need to just respect our elders a lot more. If they have the energy and wherewithal to do what a lot of your faves who are a third of their age can't do, I feel like we should give them way more grace than what we're giving them. So shout out to all the older people still out here dipping it and doing it on these stages and traveling around the world and giving us a show, rain or shine, sick or unsick, whatever the case is. So I salute all of y'all. So it said, yeah, I was supposed to see her in September. Yeah, I was supposed to see her in August, if I remember correctly. I was supposed to see her in August, and then they postponed it until January, and I enjoyed it. I said Stuart Price uploaded. Yeah, I know. I have it saved on my YouTube, so I'm gonna listen to that whenever I get a chance. But I was putting the show together today, so I didn't have time to like really listen to it. So it said I need to get back together, and he should open for her because yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Honey Dijon, and I loved her being on this. She opened when I went to go see her. But I would love for her and Stuart Price to get back together and make magic. I would love to see her work with him and produce another record. It doesn't necessarily have to be Confessions on a Dance Floor Part 2, but I would definitely love to see Madonna give us another fun record, like something dancey, something fun, something where she's having a great time, because I feel like that's where she's in a really good, like based off of what we saw from the tour and everything, she seems to be in a really good place, in regards to where she's at. So I really want that to reflect the music that she's doing and playing the different genres and stuff. She has a wherewithal to do it. Like continue to defy expectations and defy people's, opinions of you. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. So I like your energy. Well, I gotta have a lot when I'm doing it. And I did have coffee this morning. I went to the deli because back in the day we used to call them bodegas, but the Latin community don't own the delis anymore. And I had me a straight up. I was like, "Can you give me just a black coffee? Nothing in, no sugar, no milk, nothing." I love black coffee. I might have gotten that from my father. He drinks a lot of black coffee too. I know a lot of people have to have creamer and stuff in it, but um, if I make my own coffee, I have to put creamer and stuff in it because it doesn't taste the same. But for some reason, that deli coffee be hitting, and it's good when it's black. I even drink iced coffee black. And it said, yeah, they kept removing it. They were taking it down. Yeah, they kept taking it down. It was so annoying. But there's some ones that slipped through the crack that's still up there. It says Cher turns 78 this month. I think it's because Madonna finally acknowledged she's a legacy act, and that's what we wanted. Yeah, she is a legacy act. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with admitting that you're a legacy act. What's wrong with being a legacy? Look, Justin Timberlake's a legacy act at this point. And we're gonna talk about him later on in the show. But I got a lot of people commenting, so I don't want to, just ignore all of y'all because you do help the show be what it. Look, this is the people show. This is why I created the show. This show is for people who, we say what everybody else scared to say. So this is the People's Talk Show. So it's like these people bring joy through their art. Cheers to them. Doesn't matter how. Absolutely. And I feel like go as long as you can go. And there were points in the show where Billy Joel, made little insecure jokes about. I guess it was a place of insecurity. But he was like, I never thought at 75 I'd still be doing this. He said, I never thought at 65 I'd be doing, what I'm doing. But you know what? It's just like if you love what you do, then why not keep going? If you have it in you, if shit. Look, quiet as it's kept. Didn't may he rest in peace? Tony Bennett wasn't he singing well into his 90s? So if you have the women, look, we even got Barry Manilow out here set in his 70s still performing, and I saw like because um Madison Square Garden is connected with like all these other. So we're connected with the Beacon Theater. We're connected with Radio City. Like one of my friends works at Radio City. He pick up a shift every now and again at Madison Square Garden. And if you come in the arena, you see the advertisements, the and the jumbotron or whatever the case is, and they'll tell you like Barry Manilow has shows coming. He has a residency at Radio City. He's got a couple of shows coming up, I believe, in September. So a lot of the older people out here, yeah, they're still out here making their money. They're still performing. Didn't Elton John just retire? So retire because a lot of times I should put that up because a lot of people say they're gonna retire and then 9 months later, oh, I'm back. Not many times Cher done retired. So y'all stop retiring. If you look, people with regular jobs retire. People with careers don't retire. It's like you do the thing, then it's like, okay, I'm about tired, I'm exhausted, I need to rest. I'm over it, which is what Madonna always says every time she ends a tour. I'm not touring again. And then that itch begins to scratch. You got to scratch that itch, and then it's like, I'm ready. So people with careers and people with that type of vibe, it's totally different than somebody who's just like a workhorse, a machine that just goes in and has to do a regular job. Those of us who are artistically talented, we just keep going till the day we die. We don't need new music. It's just a bonus because it's not going to sell or go platinum or popular. Well, Madonna doesn't. Who are you talking about? Speak for yourself, sir. So we don't need new music. Yes, we do. I feel like for the hardcore fans, Madonna can always put out music, or she could just put out a single every now and again. Um, but I feel like for the fans, I will put out music, and then we know that music doesn't sell anymore because of the streaming thing and all that other mess. And Madonna doesn't really have to work to do that. What she needs to do is just create music to tour with, plus interlink them with the hits. Like you hit us with those hits that we love, but then you slither in a lot of your newer music to kind of give it like that transition from then and now. Because I don't see Madonna as someone who's going to be out here just doing a greatest hits tour every time she needs to go out and perform. Tracks like "Bitch I'm Madonna" or others would work better with Rihanna or Kesha. That's also the truth is that the argument that Rebel Heart MDNA would be more successful if it were younger artists. Yeah, because they felt like it was an older woman doing younger shit, but Madonna was basically doing like 2010s versions of what she did back in the 80s and 90s. So that's probably what it was. Because look, if it wasn't for the type of sounds and stuff that she was doing back then, which is what a lot of those girls that you mentioned, like Rihanna and Kesha, were inspired by Madonna. They'll gladly tell you that they were inspired by them, among other people. I also think that Kesha was inspired by like Peaches, because you definitely catch a lot of Peaches' vibe in stuff that Kesha was doing too. With the stuff that she was doing with Dr. Lewis, just more polished. I also feel like Kim Petras is doing a lot of Peaches type stuff, where you sit up and talking about sucking, dingalings and vagina and all that other stuff, all that sexual shit. Like Peaches was up there talking about that stuff on her shows too, except Peaches a little more edgier with her stuff. Except right on about Tony Bennett. Yeah, that's what I said. He was well into his 90s when he was performing, and they said he even had Alzheimer's and stuff at the time. The hell was that? Who's up in here just putting a bunch of X's in my fit? You're annoying with that. Hold on, because I'm busy deleting all of this foolishness up in here. It's like somebody went and hit X like 1,200 damn times. I'm like, what the hell is all of this? Hold on. Please hold, because I don't know who the hell that was, but they were banned. So all the comments was removed because you're not going to just put a bunch of damn X's in my shit. But anyway, let's move on. And hold on, where am I? Robert is we said block that. I'm like, what the hell is that? That's the thing I love about when you streaming and stuff. It's like, I can block bitches. I was like, you're not gonna come up in here and hack my stuff with this foolishness. Okay, so now we're gonna get into the stuff that's going on about Eurovision. So we got two things going on about that. I didn't watch the Eurovision thing last night. I was trying to remember where I could watch it because I was kind of curious to watch some of the stuff, not realizing if you do care to watch Eurovision, it's on Peacock. So if y'all want to watch Peacock, you want to watch it, it's on Peacock. But there was a situation that happened because there's a bar in New York City, a queer bar in Brooklyn. Shout out to Bushwick because that's where I used to live. And I love Bushwick because Bushwick gives me sort of like it's hipstery, but not really. And it's more like the alternative queers live out there versus Hell's Kitchen, which is very much like which I would say Hell's Kitchen is sort of the West Hollywood of New York. So I kind of like Brooklyn more because Brooklyn is a little more alternative. And I have to say, some of the boys I had sex with out in Brooklyn, child, y'all some freaks. So shout out to Brooklyn and all the queens that live out there. But anyway, enough about me and my horse lifestyle. Um, $3 bill, as I was telling y'all about, is a prominent nightclub in Bushwick. They faced criticism after canceling a viewing party for the Eurovision Song Contest because you know what's going on with the whole Israel-Hamas war situation. Everybody's protesting all over the place. So apparently, $3 bill had called off a planned Saturday event for the finale of the Eurovision Song Contest because a singer representing Israel was set to perform. Now, in this year's contest, 20-year-old Eden Golan is a finalist competing for Israel. And there was a lot of people that signed a petition to not have her perform there, including, I'm going to tell you, Fever Ray, shout out to her, that's why I live for her, for them, because Fever Ray goes by they, them pronouns. Forgot that. So my fault with that. And also the singer Robin. Robin is also one of the people that signed the petition to not have Israel participate in, the whole Eurovision Song Contest. So hold on as I pull up the advertisement for $3 bill to be in thing while I continue this story. So it says during the global competition, there have been large protests over Israel's participation due to their ongoing war in Gaza. Now, a post from the East Williamsburg bar on Thursday announcing its decision to cancel the event was immediately met with feverish support and vitriol, which we should have known that was going to happen because it's always going to be like some people are upset, some people are not. So they said, we're listening to what you're saying and recognize that hosting the Eurovision event does not align with our values before going on to say, we understand the concerns raised by our community regarding the need for boycott. That decision immediately prompted social media backlash, including from Congressman, I can't stand him, Richie Torres, who has been a vocal supporter of Israel. And not just because of that, because Richie Torres is a piece of shit, just like his damn father. But anyway, so it said he claimed the bar's decision to drop the event was anti-Semitism. The bar did not respond Friday to a request for comment. Now, Victor Rafael, who performs as Svetlana Stoli, was hired by the event's producer to co-host the watch party Saturday at $3 bill, saying, I know other gay bars that are going to show Eurovision. I don't see backlash on those pages. Actually, zero comments on those posts. The drag performer believes there are more impactful ways to make change than canceling an event, saying that we have to be more engaged in the democratic process. We should be calling our reps, Riffle said. By Friday afternoon, the bar announced that the watch party was back on, saying, in part, we believe in the power of unity and the importance of being a haven for all. Eurovision is a celebration of talent and diversity, not a platform for politics. Although they do be incorporating politics and stuff into the Eurovision Song Contest, which I heard that there were people getting in trouble for doing that. There was one performer, I can't remember who it was or what nation that she was representing, but they told her that she had to remove some Palestinian type regalia that she was planning on wearing during her performance. So they're trying to find ways to remove that sort of thing from there where they don't want people protesting or whatever the case is. But y'all can try to cover it up any which way you like. People do have a right to protest. But the event was started yesterday. It was at 2 p.m. and it was free. So I'm sure that people showed up. And here's the thing: if people want to watch Eurovision and support the contest, people, I feel like, have a right to do so. Now, I do agree that I don't feel like that boycotting Eurovision is going to remove the needle. Now, what we need to do is hit these politicians, both Democrat and Republican, because I feel like a lot of times when it comes to our politics, if you've really been paying attention to what's going on in regards to the Democrats and Republicans, they purposely are pulling this whole tug of war situation to distract you from what's going on. And we have these white supremacy laws that are put into place to continue to suppress and oppress us. And I do feel like in this day and age, what is going on, specifically in Palestine, in the way that you have these peaceful protesters out here going against what our government is doing and using our taxpaying dollars to build bombs to drop on these places over in Gaza, which we don't want to be happening. And then you have Hillary Clinton, big-headed, wide, cookie-shaped fucking ass. I can't stand that bitch. And the funny enough, I voted for her damn husband. But the way she's been going around with these condescendingness of like, well, what do you know, because dumbass Jimmy Fallon asked on his show, when she came on. So, and this is the second time she's done this that I've caught her doing this, because she did it in a CNN interview, and she did it again when it came to Jimmy Fallon. And he's like, well, what do you say to these people who are upset over this whole two-party situation that is like, oh, if you don't vote for Trump, I mean, if you don't vote for Biden, it's a vote for Trump and all this other stuff. Well, they need to get over it because it's a two-party system and it is what it is. And it's like, it didn't have to be that way. And the way that you purposely are just having, oh, well, Trump's trial, that's enough to get us to kind of go over and be like, well, let's vote for Biden, when people are getting pissed off over a lot of the policies that we voted for him to fix has not been done. Oh, let's give him a second term. Motherfucker, you should have been doing that during the 4 first years that you was up there doing what you doing. But a lot of them like to drag their feet and like to continue to dangle the carrot and spoon feed you all this BS, so that way they can continue to take advantage of the vote. And what's happening now is that people are sick and tired of both sides. They're like, you know what? I'm not going to vote for Trump, and I'm not going to vote for Biden. I'm voting for the third party. I'm voting for Jill Stein. And the argument that the one time the Democrats and Republicans want to come together and agree on something, because they realize that when you vote for a third party, oh, that's taking away votes. Yeah, from you. And it's supposed to take votes away from the Republicans, but people just feel like, well, you have to work for my vote. I'm not just going to sit up here and just vote for you because the other side is, we don't want them. And this whole lesser than two evils argument and all this other stuff, like, people are tired of it. So people are waking up. People are unplugging from the matrix. And this younger generation is like, no, you're not going to take our votes for granted. You're not going to treat us like shit and then talk down to us. And it's funny enough, you need those young votes in order to be able to get a second term. But you got Hillary Clinton out here with her condescending ass attitude talking about, well, get over it. It is what it is. No, bitch. First of all, if it wasn't for these people that you talking about, they need to get over it, you wouldn't have been able to be, the secretary. What was it? To be able, what was she? The Secretary of State of fucking New York or whatever the case was. I don't remember what damn title was. You wouldn't be able to reap the benefits of being the first lady while your husband's out here laying along and spreading wide with every Thomasina, Dickalina, and Harriet, while you was married to his ass, but you looked the other way because it helped your political gain in the long run. While your husband was out here being a goddamn Rolling Stone, minus getting a bunch of other women pregnant. Because it wasn't just allegedly Monica Lewinsky that he was getting his knob slob from. You better ask allegedly well, you gotta dig him up. But Jeffrey Epstein, he in that book, apparently, of Jeffrey Epstein. He was supplying, allegedly, because I gotta keep saying it, Bill with a harem of women. So people have a right, in my opinion, because I went on this whole political tangent. I feel like people have a right to protest if they want to. If people want to go see the Eurovision thing and just want to watch a bunch of, performances from artists or whatever, and don't want to, because here's the thing. Just because I go and watch Eurovision because I want to see the performances and the people who performed and you like Eurovision, does not necessarily mean that you aren't also out here fighting the good fight and speaking out against the overall genocide that's going on in Gaza. And I feel like that, you can multitask and do a multitude of things. You can be a supporter of that and also, speak out. And why not? I feel like everybody has a, if you want to see something, go see it and go support it. So, but like I said, what we need to do is we need to rise up as people and hit these politicians, both Democrat and Republican, where it hurts at the voting booth. If you're not going to do the job that we put you in these public offices to do, then in the words of RuPaul, your ass needs to sashay away. We need to vote their ass out and really put in the people that really are here for us, because these politicians seem to forget they work for us. We don't work. It's not the other way around. If it wasn't for us going to the voting booth, you wouldn't have these positions. You wouldn't have these gigs that you have. A lot of these politicians are bought and paid for, Hillary included. And she think just because she's traveled over to Gaza and Israel, wherever the case was, and she's been in those rooms with these people, that she knows more. It's like, no, sis, you've been bought. So when people are calling you out and we are on the outside looking in because we see the bullshit for what it is, and then she want to play up this whole condescending game with us like we're dumb. So, um, so I applaud those people that are out there speaking out against, what's going on with $3 bill. And here's the clip I want to show y'all, because this. Wait, hold on, because this was my friend Lady Bunny posted this on her Instagram, where there was some New York City sensation Chiquitetas went, and she was at the GLAD event last night along with Act Up New York, where they went and they spoke out against what's going on, you know, overseas. And a lot of these people who are sitting up in there, that are all for what's going on, looking the other way, is the centrist left. These centrist Democrats, the progressive left are the ones, and I feel like I fall more on the progressive side of, being. I am on the left, but I'm more progressive in a lot of how what I believe politically and all this other stuff. And we need to call out. And look, she even put Ross Matthews on blast. So she said that she want to add that and I'm gonna show y'all the video in a minute. But she said, I also want to add that Ross Matthews, in an effort to derail the situation, said something about this being America and us allowing free speech in the most patronizing tone. And as I'm sure you can imagine, I was kindly escorted out shortly after I reached center stage under Ross. Then there were some people that said Latrice Royale was in on the situation too, and said, really, girl? And apparently one of my friends tagged her on my Facebook page in something that I said, and she was pissed off. And bitch, you can get over it, because if you were guilty of a hit dog will holler. So if you are guilty of going out and saying some things and being a part of being all upset because somebody is exercising their right of protest, just because a lot of you F words, and you know which word I'm going to rhymes with maggot, and I'm going to say it, I don't give a fuck, because I'm one of them. But a lot of you F words that be up in that room just so happy because the society and all these cishet, people are accepting us now, and we got the red carpets rolled up, which is why I don't particularly care for GLAD, because they fake it goddamn phony, where they don't really care about it. All y'all care about is numbers. All y'all care about is getting that acceptance from these donors, which is why if you watch my last show, the what is it? If you watch the last show, there was basically talking about a lot of sponsors are pulling out of the Pride events. That a lot of Pride events are losing sponsors because the sponsors are being spooked by these Trump supporters, by a lot of the MAGA people. So, y'all seem to forget that Pride wasn't built on the backs of these organizations. It was built out of protest. Protesting is what launched the Stonewall riots on down to a lot of what Pride is today. It did not start out as a bunch of goddamn floats floating down the street from, sponsorships from Dunkin' Donuts and Citibank and Starbucks and Wells Fargo and Target, which Target is removing, gay clothes and memorabilia, whatever you want to call it, from their stores because people are complaining. So it was never about the corporations, but it's become more of that. And these people, like these GLADs or whatever, is depending on that. So a hit dog will holler, like I said. And if y'all are out here groaning and being upset because people are exercising their very right, but yet y'all want to go on these shows like We're Here, whatever the case is, and you want people to have empathy for the shit y'all went through, so that way you could relate to a lot of these people in these small towns, but you cannot give the same energy and the same respect to the people that are worse off than a lot of y'all were in your lifetime, where they're going home to full-on families being wiped out and homes, and they're just going home, living surrounded by rubble and dead, and trying to find their dead family members through the blast. So yeah. So if you want to know why I stand politically, I guess that was that, right? But anyway, let me check out this clip.
Yeah, you look good. You look good. Complicit in genocide. Vlad is 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 complicit in genocide. So great, Vlad. Let me see you. Yeah.
And it was like, if you listen closely in the background, you hear Ross Matthews in that high ass voice. But shout out to all the people that like Detox and so many others that was liking it and speaking out about it. And that's what it is. It's like, you know what? Um if speaking out for what's right is gonna get you canceled in this world, oh fucking well, I don't care. Like, first of all, I don't live my life sucking on the teat of organizations just so that way I can get love and acceptance. You gotta love yourself before you try to seek acceptance from all these other people. So they don't pay my check. They don't cash my check. They don't put food on my table, clothes on my back, or roof over my fucking head. And as long as I got breath in this body, Chris is always going to speak out for those who, is going to be a voice for the voiceless. Point blank, end the period. And if anybody got a problem with it, we could meet outside. But anyway, that's enough of my rant. Let me know what you guys think down below. Okay, so now we got comments. I was like, what the? Yeah, WTF. Shouldn't advertise if you don't want backlash. I guess it was a bit more than usual. Speaking of Trump's trial, Stormy's testimony has some legendary comments saying she didn't feel it when she was with and then it's funny enough, I posted that on my social media and they tried to do like a fact check that was incorrect or whatever the case was. I'm like, okay, so now we got Meta up in here trying to say she didn't say that. Whatever. I mean, I'm sure people. I was like, does that mean that Mark Zuckerberg's wife don't feel nothing when she got it? When he put it up in her too. But let me not say nothing because then that if I was going to say something, it's going to get me in trouble. So I'm gonna just not go there. Multiple party system. Dems and pubs are majority for forever now. We want to. I think most people want a multiple party system. We don't want just Democrat and Republicans because we realize both sides ain't working. Ain't been working for 30 something odd years. Like our system started to crumble right around the Reagan administration, and it's gotten worse since then. I will say, like, I remember during the Clinton administration, everybody was happy because we was eating and doing good and all this other stuff. The 9/11 happened, and it feels like the world's kind of gone to shit since then, and things have gotten significantly worse. So, like, it ebbs and flows, but so got to do research. Not for the last comment. I don't know. I'm listening. It was a hard target is going to only have their Pride collection. Yeah, so they're probably doing it in more of the liberal locations like New York, Chicago. Like, I could definitely see like New York is not going to remove any of that Pride stuff, especially in like the more mainstream areas. So if you go to a Target, maybe in Times Square or something or another, you'll be able to get, their Pride collection there. But if you go to like, Cupcake, Idaho or West Bubblefuck, Wisconsin, you ain't going to find no Pride stuff in there because somebody's going to find a reason. They're going to be looking around that store looking for it just so that way they can go viral on whatever social media platform and complain. That's, I guess, where Pride is most prevalent. Yeah. It'll go, like I said, it'll probably be in New York, Chicago, a lot of those places. And now, speaking of Eurovision, let's talk about Olly Alexander, who had to grin through the pain during the closing moments of Saturday's Eurovision final after receiving 0 points from the European voting public. The UK was the only country not to receive a single point from the results of the public vote in an embarrassing turn of events for the 33-year-old. Now, I don't know if y'all saw the pictures or whatever, but Olly Alexander performed his new song Dizzy in front of, a group of backing dancers. I think he had like 4 backup dancers. And this was like the first song that he's released under his own name because, if you've ever been paying attention or unaware, he was a part of a band called Years and Years. They put out 2 albums actually 3 albums, I believe. The last album that they didn't really do well at the, on the chart because they felt like it went a little too mainstream and the songs didn't have the impact as their previous work, which I also believe was one of the reasons why the band actually broke up and Ollie's been kind of going it alone. And I have to say, when I heard Dizzy's it's a cute song. Like, it's got elements. It reminded me of Dead or Alive, You Spin Me Right Round Like a Record. And it also reminded me a little bit, it's got a little bit of that cheesy or cheeky, whatever you want to call it, maybe a little both, Pet Shop Boys type of vibe, except I feel like it's lacking a little oomph, or as they like to say in the Charlie XCX 360 video, a little je ne sais quoi. It's like a little je ne sais quoi. So, um, it said the sexually charged performance saw Alexander get up close and personal with his dancers in a topsy turvy set up as he sang the song in what was described as perfectly fine by the Guardian ahead of the competition. And the funny thing was they were making some jokes about it. They said, why were they doing a performance inside the Saw bathroom? Remember, I mean, or was it the Saw bathroom? Was it the Saw locker room? Oh yeah, they said the Saw bathroom. Because remember, like in the original Saw, how they had Lee Winnell, who wrote the script, and Carrie Elways were chained up in this bathroom, and they spent the whole movie in there, and then the big twist and everything. But it kind of did remind me of that. After I saw that, I was like, I cannot unsee that. So, they said the Brit was supported in the UK by narrator Graham Norton, who described the performance as terrific, but admitted that he did not know how well it would do because it is so different to everything else in the contest. Now, taking to Twitter ahead of its performance, Hannah Waddingham was one of the big names who supported the It's a Sin star and former Years and Years singer, saying, "Come on, Olly Alexander, let's do this." Alongside multiple Union Jacks. He was also cheered on by the official Twitter account of the Labour Party, which wished him good luck ahead of his performance. But the reviews on everything was mixed because they were saying some people criticized the sexual nature of the performance, which involved a lot of hip thrusting. I'm like, what are we in 1958 or something or another? Like, all of a sudden, everybody's outraged by hip thrusting in a performance. So I don't understand why it's a big deal that Olly Alexander is giving a little hip thrust with the show. Now, I'll say, watching the performance, because I did watch the rehearsals, I do realize that it was because they were showing them rehearsing throughout the week before the finale, the big performance on Saturday. And I thought the thing was fine. There were parts of the song where I felt like he was losing breath, and that it did the vocals got a little pitchy at some point. But overall, I felt like was it a good song to represent the UK? I think he needed something a little stronger. Now, if it was maybe Troye Sivan's Rush, if it had something like on the vibe of that, then I feel like maybe the song would have had more of an impact. But I just feel like Dizzy is just not that song that really is like really hits it out of the park. I just felt like he needed something a little bit stronger. And one person posted no one, and then it said Olly Alexander, and it's a picture of The Simpsons where they're watching a performance of a guy juggling, but his crotch is all in Homer Simpson's face, which I thought was funny. And then the singer vocals, like I said, also came under fire. One person said the UK Eurovision entry, Olly Alexander, sounds just like me in the shower when someone opens the tap downstairs and the water gets terribly cold. But some people said great performance from Olly, fantastic stage too. Don't think we have a shot of winning, but shouldn't do as bad as last year at least. Last year, didn't Noreen win? I actually like her and her song Tattoo, although she is being dragged for saying that Eurovision is not a place of politics. I'm like, sis, why are you saying that? Because you won for the show? Like, be careful what y'all out here saying. But and then it said that even though UK didn't receive a single vote from the public, Dizzy did manage to bag 46 points from the participating countries' juries. This meant Alexander finished 18th out of 25 in the final leaderboard, usurping the likes of Finland, Estonia, Georgia, Spain, Slovenia, Austria, and Norway. Now, in the end, it was Switzerland who was crowned this year's Eurovision winners after seeing off Croatia in a tense head-to-head. And I should also cry because I know some people will say, was it homophobia or whatever? No, because a non-binary performer by the name of Nemo actually won Eurovision. So I don't think it had anything to do with any gay or queer backlash because a queer person actually won. So yeah, so while I do like the idea of Olly and I like, him as an artist, and I love, I'm a sucker for a synth. on a song. And I do love a lot of the artists that he's inspired by, which would be like Erasure and Pet Shop Boys and that sort of thing. I just don't feel that the song was strong enough to even come on the radar of, you know, the people over in the UK. I don't know what it was that why people didn't resonate with the song. Maybe, like I said, it's lacking a little, you know, je ne sais quoi. Maybe it's lacking a little, you know, impact or whatever the case was. I also forgot to point out, because, you know, there's been this whole controversial about Israel and everything. They said Israel was one of the big winners when it came to the public votes, as Eden Golan earned an impressive 323 votes just from voters at home. And it's probably because there's a lot of these people with this whole, you know, protesting backlash or whatever the case was. And I did see the clips online that during her performance, she was heavily booed by people in the audience. So people are not here for it. So yeah, it's like people could sit at home and it's probably all the Israel out there voting, or the people who are just pro-Israel who are voting for her, but they didn't win. She, you know, it was Nemo in Switzerland. So shout out to y'all. Shout out to Olly. I do feel like if you are trying to come with a new solo situation, sir, you need to really bring it in regards to them hits. And I believe he worked with somebody who worked with Charlie XCX and a bunch of other people in the past. But honey, if you're trying to work with Charlie's people, you need to come a little harder, like Charlie has been coming with a lot of these songs off this upcoming Brat era. So, and that's what I want from my gay pop acts. I need y'all to like really bring it in regards to like the music and the performances and all this stuff. But I feel like a lot of y'all holding back. Stop holding back. At least Troye Sivan was giving us what needed to be given with that Something to Give Each Other album. Which is why it's perfect that he and Charlie XCX are going on tour with their Sweat tour. And I'm actually looking forward to that tour when it comes to my job. I don't remember when it's coming, but I know they kick off the tour in September. But I'm looking forward to whatever it is that they're gonna bring with this tour, because I know it's gonna be epic. So let me know what you guys think down below. You know, this is for my UK people, or if those of you who are Eurovision fans, are y'all here for this Dizzy song? Are y'all here with what are you a fan of the whole Years and Years thing? Are you a fan of like that whole vibe of, you know, that synth pop type sound? Or what do you think that Olly needs to do to really solidify himself to be playing with these, you know, in that same look, he's successful. He's done a duet with Kylie Minogue. Like he's had 2 #1 albums. The third one didn't really do all that well. But you know, when he's on the cover as a merman. But you know, he's had a successful career so far, but we don't want him to end up in a place where they said that there was one artist who, and I forgot her name too, that went on Eurovision and made one little mistake, and her career kind of like just fell off. Her debut album didn't sell, and she had to kind of rebuild her career back up again, and is now sort of a what do you call it? Not a mainstream ad, but she has like a cult following. So let me know what you guys think of this story down below. Okay, so we have some comments, and it said Robert's post on Facebook on Madonna speaking out when she was there for her performance, and now they had younger people saying things. Madonna in 2019 spoke out on the rising tensions in Israel and Palestine, but got into massive trouble. 5 years later, everybody's doing it now. Exactly. Well, you know, it's always the case that she's always ahead of the game. She always speaks out, and then you get crucified. And now, because it's the popular thing, now everybody's speaking. Well, not really everybody's speaking up, but yeah. I need new Tovalo music. It's been too long since Dirt. And I think she's independent, so it's probably gonna be harder for her to put out new music. It's funnily enough, she might be behind the scenes working on some new music. You never know when it comes to a lot, you know, these artists. Is probably what it is. Like, you know, she was touring a bit. She did release Dirt Film. I think the reviews on that was mixed, but she's probably behind the scenes working on the music. So that's probably what it is. Okay, so now let's move on and let's talk about Pink, who is reportedly upset over the music coverage steering towards artists such as Beyoncé and Taylor Swift. So, you know, I don't know if you guys have heard, but you know, she's been performing this Summer Carnival Stadium tour, which has been going on for since last year. And you know, it's been really big. And you know, one of the things I will always say about Pink is that she's been selling out Australia. Like, I feel like she's one of the only acts that has really been, every time she goes to Australia, she's been selling out those stadium tours. And I think she would sell it out for like a good 2 weeks straight. But according to reports, they're trying to say that she's upset because she's not getting the same kind of coverage as, Beyonce and Taylor Swift have been getting with their tours. Especially Taylor Swift, who was there at the time. They feel like that Taylor Swift has been pushed way more than she has. So it says, besides in January, she announced more shows for the latter half of the year, covering Vancouver, British Columbia, Columbus, Ohio, Detroit, Austin, and many more, as reported by People. But Australian's radio broadcaster Tim Blackwell said during an interview on Nova's Ricky Lee, Tim, and Joel, as per The Sun, Pink is out here doing her bike around the Opera House saying, "I'm here too." He continued, "It's kind of funny. Everyone's talking about Beyonce and Taylor doing the stadium shows, but Pink's also out here selling them out as well. I have a friend who's Pink's background singer, and my friend Danny said she's really just pissed off no one is talking about the fact that she's also selling out stadiums. This came as a business strategy veteran revealed that Swift, via her Eras tour, made $20 million in merchandising sales. They reportedly said no other artist can even dream about making even $20 million in merchandising sales on tour, which we're saying is like, that's some bullshit, because if Pink is selling out stadiums, how are you saying Taylor's doing all this work, but then you just totally ignore her, saying she's not doing any of the things that she's doing? So I totally get it. So they said the expert added, millions of fans have been waiting for this to happen, and they have been saving money to spend it on their favorite artists. The tour is the biggest ever, and Taylor is the most famous artist in the world, and they want to have their part of history. Besides, Beyonce's 2023 Renaissance tour also made quite a stir. A source reportedly claimed Beyonce has poured millions into this show. It is one of the most expensive sets for a concert tour ever. She is a perfectionist. Well, duh, because she's a Virgo. And it said Beyonce has been rehearsing for more than 3 months and has spent the last 5 weeks away from home preparing. With all of that investment, she has determined to give it her all and knows that fans will love it. Meanwhile, people online have reacted to Pink's alleged issue with Swift and the Queen Bey. One person wrote below the ATRL article, "I'm pissed off. Pink hasn't released a good album since 2017. Another person said, "Highly doubt. Pink has always been one of the most level-headed and supportive pop girls out there." Another person put, "If true, this is Pink's own fault and also her team's fault. They just complain and expect everything to come without moving and without having a PR machine behind them. And don't get me started on how she recycled her own performances for that tour and how the stage design is just not outstanding. Take all of that, then disappear from the media until the day you have to perform, and this is what you'll get." Well, it said a user wrote below Daily Mail article, "Pink is here a lot. She came when no one else would, which she deserved credit for. If you look back, you will see Pink came before the AUD meant something to the Yanks. The rest only came here. Once our dollar was high everywhere, the dollar crashed, but the AUD was strong due to mining, and guess what? Then they came, otherwise they wouldn't bother." The second one mentioned Pink's right. Rather than enforcing her fans, who in many cases spent over $1,000 in airfare and accommodation to come to her, she came to them, a class act. So they also went and said, "It's all hearsay. Until Pink says something about it herself, I'm not buying it," a reader remarked. "Pink is family to Australia. She has spent so much time here. She is one of us now. She is loved by her fan base and isn't going anywhere. She gets a special freedom when she comes here. I'm sure she was grateful the Paps were chasing Tay Tay instead." Well, yeah, because one of the things about us is we don't, we're here for the work. We love what we do, but we don't like all the attention. And Virgos do not like a lot of attention. Trust and believe, we tell you. We just like doing what we do. And another comment read, "I guess they're on different generations, and unfortunately, Pink's generation, like me, we aren't that crazy into going to concerts anymore. It's Taylor's time for those who are 35 and younger." I don't know if that's necessarily true, because I feel like a lot of fans out there, no matter the age, like to watch performances and stuff. So I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. But for argument's sake, let's entertain all this as if it's true. So when they went and said Beyonce has poured millions into her show and how she's rehearsed for more than 3 months and has spent the past 5 weeks away from home preparing. Well, that's cute and all, and nobody's taking away from how hard Beyonce works, because we know Beyonce gives her all when she's up there performing. So I appreciate everything that Beyonce does. But for you to say all of that and discredit what Pink is doing, to me, that's bullshit. First of all, they both Virgos. Like Beyonce is the 4th, Pink is the 7th. I'm the 2nd. I'm 2 days older than Beyonce. So for people to discredit like what Pink is doing, it's like Pink works just as hard as Beyonce does. First of all, we've been seeing Pink up there doing somersaults mid-air across arena. She's been doing that for years, doing all kinds of crazy somersaults and gymnastics, like she's in a damn circus. Hence probably why she calling this a summer carnival tour. But Pink puts in just as much work, and her and Beyonce are around the same age. So she has put in a lot of work into solidifying herself as kind of the queen of Australia. Now, I don't know if this is going to be blasphemous, and please do not throw your fruits, vegetables, tomatoes, whatever you want to call it, at me when I ask this question. But is Pink bigger than Kylie Minogue in Australia? Let me dub. Is she as big? Is she bigger than Kylie Minogue in Australia? Because Kylie is that's her people. That's her hometown. So I wonder, like, shout out to my Aussies. I'm going to have to cut this up, and definitely I want to hear from y'all. Is she bigger than Kylie in Australia? Like Kylie, I feel like has spent more time in the UK and most recently in the US than she has in her own hometown. So I would think that because Pink has put so much work into rebuilding and getting those accolades, and every time she goes to Australia, she sells out. So they're trying to say that if it's true that it's Pink's own fault and it's her team's fault. I mean, I guess you could probably say that, but to me, it's like Hollywood is very much like high school. It doesn't matter how much work and energy and money and things that you put into a certain artist when it comes to whatever. The industry, whenever it comes to Taylor Swift, the way the industry acts whenever she's popping up somewhere, or nobody's diminishing her impact, because Taylor, whether you love her or hate her, is that girl. She is very impactful in the industry. But a lot of times when the bigger artist comes in a room, a lot of y'all want to push the legacy act to the side because the hottest, best, shiniest thing has now walked into the room. Okay, bitch, move to the side. The queen's coming through. Like a lot of Hollywood is very high school in that way. And to me, you shouldn't treat people like that. If I put in 20, 30 years in this game, you're gonna treat me with the same kind of respect you're gonna put somebody that's only put in 10. And I'm not saying that Taylor Swift's been in the business for 10 years, but you're not gonna treat me like shit and then usher in this new shiny thing because they're the hot commodity of the moment. So I don't know if Pink is necessarily jealous, but I would find it, frustrating that I put in so much work and blood, sweat, and tears and things into something, and a lot of people don't appreciate it, or the media is trying to put them against each other. I don't know. But she has a right to feel the way that she feels because, when you've been doing this for a long time, it's like, yeah, hello, like I've helped build the revenue for Australia when a lot of people wouldn't even come over here and touch y'all with a 10-foot pole. But now you want to treat me like shit because Taylor Swift, Beyonce is in town. And I know it's shocking for some people, but we can multitask. I mean, arenas wouldn't last if y'all only depended on one artist to be able to sell y'all whatever it is that y'all selling. So don't discount out the Pinks for, somebody else. We can like Pink just as much as we could like Taylor Swift, just as much as we could like Beyonce, just as much as we could like the next artist. Which is why a lot of people create their own little playlists now, through Amazon or Spotify, and I mean not Amazon, Apple. Well, yeah, Amazon does have a streaming thing. I forgot, but or Amazon, Spotify, or even Apple Music. People create their playlist because we don't listen. We're not a monolith. We don't listen to one thing. We don't support one thing. We don't buy tickets to one damn artist. It's like this week I can go see Pink, and next week I can go see Megan Thee Stallion. If you got the money, then support it. So, so I guess I just say all this to say, you know what? The generations, maybe they are different. It's like, I feel like the generation for Pink is not that far off from Taylor Swift. It's like Pink is 35 and older, and Taylor Swift is 35 and younger. But I do agree, sidebar, I do agree with them when they say, like, Pink just keeps doing, like, ever since Misunderstood, she's kind of been doing the same type of pop rock type vibe. And I do feel like, yeah, with the new album, which I forgot the name of, because I listen to a couple of songs of the album every now and again, she did kind of step out of her comfort zone and experiment with a couple of different sounds, which I like. I did like that, I did like Runaway because it kind of gave me that whole 80s Pat Benatar type vibe. And I feel like Pink kind of needs to change up her sound a little bit. I do feel like she has gotten a little stagnant. She got a little comfortable, and I do love the fact that she took a risk, with Misunderstood, because she was Miss R&B Pink. She was the white girl trapped in the black girl trapped in a white girl's body, where people thought because she was from Philly and all this other stuff that she was, an urban chick. And she did go R&B with that, Can't Take Me Home. And since she did Misunderstood, it's kind of like she's been stagnant in doing that whole pop rock type thing. So maybe she kind of does need to change it up a bit. But look, the sound definitely works for what she's doing. She's an arena artist. So those rock and roll, those guitars, the drums, all that other stuff, that whole sound definitely works if you play in a stadium. So I don't think I have any more to give on this topic. Just let me know what you guys think of this whole situation down below in regards of everything you heard. I'm definitely curious. All right, so I got a lot of comments. Please hold. That's why I love y'all. Yes, she has. She's been on tour for almost a year, and she's still promoting. And she got more dates coming this summer for the Summer Carnival tour. I would love to see that tour, though, by the way. And it said, "Go Pink." That is so awesome. FYI, Australia's summertime is December through February when we have winter. It's summer beginning in June. It's winter for them when it's our summer season. Yeah, that's what it's like. And she's over there touring in Australia when it's hot. And then now she's going to bring the tour over here. But she's been doing the Summer Carnival tour when she's been out here too. So, it said Pink, Pink should kick their butt. And so Australia is 14 hours ahead from where I am. I have to remember sometimes when I talk to them on evening, our evening is their morning. Oh, yeah, because it is definitely, they do have a time zone way far off than us. Expensive because she promoted so well. Pink would be to buy without looking. I'm thinking Pink's ticket prices are more affordable. Well, the word on the curb is that the prices are more affordable overseas, which is why a lot of people are flocking over there. Now, as far as like her prices here, I don't necessarily know what the prices are because I haven't looked. I definitely need to check it out on the Ticketmaster to see how much she's charging for the Summer Carnival tour here. But then again, we're talking about Ticketmaster, who loves price gouging, which has been the overall complaint. But a lot of people do travel overseas to see a lot of their favorite artists because it's cheaper. Especially like we were just talking about Taylor Swift's tour. Like a lot of people were jumping over to her tour in Paris and stuff because the tickets were cheaper than when she was doing the Eras tour here. And not only that, but and this is what I'll give credit to Taylor Swift about. I love the fact that even though I'm not a fan, but I give credit where it's due. I love the fact that, you know what, when she was like, okay, now I'm going to do the Eras tour because she has, what is the name of the album? Dead Poet Society. That's what I call it. Tortured Poets Department. I just like calling it Dead Poet Society. Shout out to the late Robin Williams because he was in that damn movie. So, I think he was also nominated for an Oscar for that. But anyway, so the Torture Poets Department, she added songs into that, and I heard she retooled the other Eras tour one, the one that you see on the Disney Channel, is 3 hours, because now it's a different show for this. And I love artists that's like, you know what, we're gonna go back, we're gonna do another Eras tour, but we're gonna add new songs, we're gonna change up the show, we're gonna give them different looks, we're gonna give them different. I think she got that from Beyonce, because remember Beyonce with the Renaissance tour, how throughout the entire tour she was not giving y'all the same costumes, like she was actually changing her look. And I have to say, if you have the money, I love that. I love the fact that she was like, you know what? I'm just going to give y'all a different show. I'm going to give y'all different looks. I'm going to change it up throughout the show. So it's not like you only going to see me wearing the same yellow flowy gown. Today it's going to be green. Tomorrow's going to be red. Or, this certain leotard I'm going to wear. I'm going to change up the color. So I love that you have the ability to be like, okay, we're going to change up the costumes, not give y'all the same damn costumes for the past year. It's just too many. Yeah, yeah. That's another thing too. It's too many people going on tour. Like Mary J. Blige is doing a tour today. Well, it's she's doing something at the Barclays Center the whole weekend for Mother's Day, and it's oh my God, what's the name of that? Strength of a Woman. She has that going on with 50 Cent. A bunch of people are performing, and she said she pulled that out because she was inspired by the Essence Fest and the whole thing with Ken Do No Good Ass. And I met him twice in LA. How he was taking like she had to pay all that damn alimony. He was sucking up all her damn money like the vampire he is. So I also met shout out another person I met in LA, Tamar's ex-husband Vince. I ran into him a couple of times too when he was with the son, their son together, Logan. So that's the one thing about LA. You will always bump into celebrities out there. You do in New York too, but not as much as you do in LA. I actually don't miss LA. I miss the weather, but I don't miss the superficiality of it. But anyway, so I would love to see all these shows, but I can't. That's why I'm like, y'all can stay home and just release a few albums. Or can y'all stay home and release a few? Yeah. Well, look, they released the album. They're not making money from that, so they have to tour. So that's why I'm like, maybe what it needs to happen is that, you know what, if people cannot afford these tours or whatever the case was, I feel like all artists should, a lot of these big artists, can y'all just film it and do a whole AMC release or whatever the case is? Because that seems to be a thing where I'm realizing the movie theaters are making money in that way. So I kind of wish that they would do something like that, where it was just like, let's record record the tour, put it on put it on a DVD or release it in theaters and see if these fans will go and support it. The big acts. I don't know if like we don't want one from like a smaller like an Ava Max or a Selena Gomez. Y'all can say that shit. I'll watch it on YouTube. But for the people like the Pinks or maybe the Justin Timberlakes and all these other people, at some point just record y'all tours and then just do a deal with, even if it's not going to be in a theater, do a deal with Netflix or Paramount Plus or HBO, like with Lady Gaga's doing with the Chromatica tour. Like I feel like that should be the next trend that needs to happen, so that way it's you get a deal with these streaming services and y'all make a good coin. So I feel like that's what needs to happen. And then all of a sudden we finally get a chance to see this tour. Like I didn't go to the Chromatica tour, but I'll definitely be watching on my TV with my surround sound and my high definition. So it's like everyone wanted to tour after international travel was well, and then also, COVID hurt a lot of artists too. We have to think about that. It's like we're still getting back in the graces of getting the economy back. So I wish they would cut down on these damn the price gouging of the groceries and all that. Like at a point, okay, COVID's done. I mean, COVID will never be done. It'll always manifest in its own way. But the pandemic has, we've been out of that for a while. Can y'all like at least cut us some slack and give us, a break on these overpricing of the groceries? Like I told you the other day, I went to the store, pharmacy actually, and got dog treats because I was like, let me just spoil my dogs. So I was like, I got them some dog treats. I wound up getting a bag of M&Ms because that's my drugs. I don't do drugs, but if there's any drug that I have an addiction to, it's peanut M&Ms. So I wound up getting the big family pack, and then I wound up getting, I forgot, there was something else I bought. 3 items cost me $30. So I'm like, y'all are out of y'all damn mind with the overpricing of stuff out here. Like even if I go food shopping for a week, I'm spending damn near $200 on groceries just for me. Because it's like prices are out of control. So the answer is yes. Kylie admits they hate her pure. Oh, so I'm glad I was like, I answered the question and look, it got answered. So the answer is yes. Kylie admits they hate, and that's why I was like, let me duck because I want nobody to hit me. And shit was like, is Pink bigger than Kylie in Australia? And so Kylie admits they hate her pure pop music, and she even acknowledges it's a dirty word, just like how dance music was in the States when Hung Up was issued in 2005. It was #1 on iTunes for weeks and months, but because of radio couldn't embrace it. Hint the #7 peak on Hot 100 Australia during Kylie's prime was in love with Silverchair and those rock bands. Is that one of the reasons why she also was dating Michael Hutchence? And then she kind of went more alternative, but then that flopped, so then she went back to the pop music. Impossible Princess was the alternative album, which was taking more risk and kind of going more indie with her sound. That's it. Oh, speaking of which, there was a friend of mine that was asking me because he's like, "Oh, I know you always promote Kylie." Speaking of Kylie, I know you always promoting Kylie Minogue and stuff, and I see like you post her stuff in your stories. He was like, "It's someone who wants to get into it," because I remember he saw her performing somewhere or whatever, and then he was like, he wanted to try to get into her music. He was like, "What album should I start out with?" And me being the hardcore Kylie fan that I am, I was like, I don't know if you want to necessarily start with the Stock Aitken Waterman era, because that's very much, when she was doing the cookie cutter pop stuff. But I was like, if you really want to get into Kylie, like real pop Kylie, I did kind of recommend oh my God, Light Years. I almost forgot the name of that damn album. I did recommend Light Years, but I feel like Light Years is a little too European. I feel like if you really want to kind of bridge the gap between the Euro pop sound and kind of like that American pop vibe, I was like, start with Fever and work your way down. Because that I feel is like when you kind of that was when she blew up in America for the first time. So I feel like it's easier pill to swallow with Kylie to listen to Fever, and then you can listen to the other stuff like Aphrodite. And why do I always forget the name of the album that had Red Blooded Woman and Chocolate and all that other stuff on? I always forget the name of that fucking album. But listen to that too, because that kind of has like more of an American vibe too. It's got that R&B vibe, R&B pop. It's got she experiments with that record. You can listen to X. I love X because it's got, electro pop. There's so many different, like Kylie has always been that girl that really experiments with her sound. And sometimes it hits, sometimes it misses. But I appreciate a little experimentation rather than someone who's going to give us the same damn album for 15 years straight. Y'all know who y'all are. It's a Runaway makes me think of Take On Me. Yeah, it's got that vibe, but it also has, it kind of reminded me of Pat Benatar too. Is that I was born in '84, Taylor is 1989, and Pink is 1979. So she's close to millennials, where Taylor is millennials. That is true. And it said, "Try This" is very much underrated. Oh yeah, because Try This, she did take more risks. I felt like she did go a little more edgier. Like she was working with Peaches, she was working with a lot of other people on that record. But I feel like that record was it wasn't mainstream. It felt a little too. It felt like she was kind of teetering towards more of the underground vibe. So I do agree. Try This was, and it's funny he put Peaches in there because I didn't even finish reading the rest she wrote, but. It was like, yeah, she was working with a lot. Like it had more of that Iggy Pop and the Stooges vibe. Like she was kind of going more into that. Look at me with my musical knowledge. It was like she was kind of going more into that vibe, but the people wasn't here for it, so she went back to what was familiar. Because she lucked out with Misunderstood. She could say "I told you so" with that, with L.A. Reid when that album went diamond. But then when she took more of a risk with Try This, because once you go diamond and once you sell a lot of records for the industry, the record industry will loosen the noose a little bit and be like, okay, we'll let you experiment because you tried something and it worked. And at the end of the day, they don't care about black and white. All this industry care about is green. As long as you can make them money, that's all they care about. So. And it said the European Union has laws that protect their consumers. Madonna has two different outfits for the reinvention tour, one for the US and one for Europe, and Japan conventions had an awful. Oh God, that was another thing too. Madonna needed to retire them damn wigs. I hated that wig that she wore during Vogue. It was giving very much Amanda Lepore. Like that's why I love the rehearsal for Rio. She was wearing her actual hair, and people were like, "Was she giving us a new look? Like she looks so much better with the long wavy hair out." And I thought that would have been perfect. That wig was wigging, and it was just horrible. But I think I think the wig worked in the finale because it was humid. And when you're using humid hair in weather that's got a lot of humidity, especially because we know it's hot as hell out in Rio, which is fine for her because she likes the heat, which is why she keeps the arenas hot. Then the wig wasn't going to be able to do what it needed to be done. It wasn't going to be coiffed. It looked like it was flat. So the wig kind of worked for that. But throughout the tour, I hated the wig. I just had a lot of horrible wigs. Wait, that wig you talking about, is that the one with them horrible ass bangs? Like it was giving very much um Courtney Cox in Scream 3. Like it was giving that kind of vibe with the wig in the bang. Because I hated that. I think that was during the MDNA tour, wasn't it? When she was up there and she was doing "Give It to Me." I didn't particularly care for that wig either. So it was like I'm actually watching a reinvention tour. Bitch, you watching reinvention tour while you watching me? No, I'm just playing. We can multitask. I was kind of getting in that vibe too. That of like of going back to a lot of Madonna's old tours because I've been seeing them in rotation over on YouTube. Like I've been seeing I've been getting a lot of recommendations of watching the tour, like from the MDNA tour, the Sticky and Sweet tour, the Reinvention tour, even the Reinvention tour. And I was like, someone actually put that together, and I was like watching because I don't like the I'm gonna tell you a secret where we get the clips but we don't get the full tour. And I really wish that we would have gotten a full tour instead of the clips. And then interwoven in with the behind the scenes stuff. I feel like give us a full-fledged documentary, but also give us the tour separate. That's what we want. Because I'm curious about not only Madonna's music, but she has the personality to get us to do the whole documentary thing. So I said, because those concert films lasted longer than ever. And current films, I would love to see Billie and Olivia's tour. AMC. You know what? I totally agree with that. I heard word on the curb is Billie Eilish's new album is boring. I'm gonna have to listen to it this week when it comes out. But no shade, but I've always felt Billie Eilish is boring. Like I've never really could get into her as an artist. I heard the big song that actually is a standout on the album is the one where she's talking about eating another girl's box. I was like, yeah, 1 minute, as soon as you come out the closet, all of a sudden the best song on the album is about you eating somebody's coochie. But I do agree. Olivia Rodrigo definitely needs to make her tour available for people to watch because I told you, I've seen the tour 3 times. I worked 3 out of her 4 shows. And I knew what to expect. After a while, I was like, girl, I'm tired of hearing these songs. But that's because I've seen the show so many times. And when you've seen a show more than once, it's kind of okay. I know what to expect. I'm a little irritated. I don't want to do the show again. But it comes with the job, so I have to deal with it. I'm not complaining, but I am complaining, if you know what I'm saying. So, I do agree that Olivia's show needs to be put on a DVD or put in the theater because her fans definitely will come out and watch it. She sold out all 4 of her dates at Madison Square Garden. So her fans, and I told her one of her fans gave me a little charm bracelet. I am not wearing it anymore because when I was going through the metal detectors at work, it broke. And I didn't want to put it in my pocket because I felt like if I put it in my pocket, I would have lost it, like it was falling apart. And the security person was definitely helping me give me all the pieces and stuff. I was like, well, fuck it. It is what it is. It broke. So I was a little bummed about that because the little girl was nice enough to come up to me. She was like, she gave me a little like a little charm bracelet. And I thought it was adorable. And so, yeah, the bracelet broke on me. So, um, yeah, I definitely feel like Olivia's tour needs to be put out for the fans to come see it. You'll definitely make money off of that, AMC, because you ain't making money off anything else. Yeah, Apostle Princess is her bestseller in Australia, but because she went and gave them what they wanted. So of course Australia bought it, but everybody else didn't care. Yeah, I'm glad we agree because I was saying like, yeah, start out with Fever, and that's what I told him. I was like, you could start out with Light Years, but Light Years is a little too European. Like to me, I feel like it's very much like Radical Optimism. It's very similar to Dula Peep. Look at Dula Peep coming back in the conversation. Like it definitely kind of fits into that whole Dula Peep thing. And where it feels a little too European, but American audiences might not really gravitate towards it. Although because she's been heavily promoting it and she's been doing live performances, it is resonating a lot more on the American charts. So it does feel, but when you listen to Radical Optimism, it does feel it feels more European than like an American pop record. But I tend to gravitate towards anyway. Like I grew up listening to a lot of European artists. Just like I was mad the other day when I was like, damn, if I wasn't out being a hoe on Friday, I would have went to go see Bjork DJ under a bridge in Brooklyn. Like I totally forgot about her DJing in Brooklyn. And I wanted to go. But I forgot. Because I was out laying low and not spreading it wide because I don't spread my cheeks. But I was spreading other people's cheeks. But thank you, body language. And it said body language, much as I loved it, it was very much ill-fated because decision to chase the American fame. X had Calvin Harris before he exploded in my arms of heart. Absolutely. And that's what I like Calvin Harris. I don't particularly care about Calvin Harris's music now. Even though I think he did work on some of Ellie Goulding's last record, and I did like Ellie Goulding's music. Look at us, we went on a whole tangent, and I'm forgetting to do the rest of the show. But you know me, when it's a conversation type show, so let me stop beating myself up because I'm like, I feel like I spent a good 30 minutes answering questions. But anyway, let's continue. As I said, oh yeah, it was that jump video wig. That is the wig. I totally forgot about that. And it was like, unlike Truth or Dare, I felt robbed on the secret documentary with those 1 minute performances. That's why I actually like watching the YouTube videos, because if somebody was good enough to stitch everything together with some good shots, and we getting the tour that way. Versus like, yeah, like you said, them 1 minute performances. I definitely hear and see Kylie Minogue influence. Yeah, hello. That's why I say like this album is very much Kylie Minogue influence. So I get more Kylie than Madonna. So when people gonna say, oh, she's like, no, you get a lot of. I mean, maybe the first single Houdini kind of gave very much Madonna hung up vibes, but for the most part, this record definitely feels more Kylie than Madonna. All right, Chad. So let's move on. Let's talk about Justin Timberlake. Um, and this tour and stuff that he got going on. So poor Justin Timberlake, who's currently crying a river because, according to reports, not only did his latest album flop harder than the latest Camila Cabello and Normani single, but he's also struggling to sell out tickets for his Forget Tomorrow tour. Now, child, I knew this was coming, because it's funny enough, when we talked about this the last time, we were talking about that he was struggling to sell tickets, I believe, in the UK dates at the O2 Arena. Like, he was struggling to sell that. But now the tea was coming out, because I saw this. Shout out to Page Six, which is, the gossip section of the New York Post. They're the ones that spilled this tea about Justin. So it said Justin Timberlake may have taken too much of a hiatus in between albums and was involved in too much negative press surrounding the release of Britney Spears' memoir, causing fans to lose interest in the once popular megastar. A 6-year break from your mid-30s to your early 40s is a really long time for an artist. This is what music journalist Torre of the Griot told Paula Froelich of News Nation. Most of Timberlake's fans have aged out of caring about him. It's like the old saying goes, you don't retire, the audience retires you. The pop star released his 6th album, Everything I Thought It Was, on March 15th, his first since 2018's Man in the Woods, another album that flopped, but I believe the tour definitely saved that record. But for the most part, that album was a flop. Now, while it debuted at number 19 on the Billboard Hot 100, a month later it had fallen off Billboard Hot 200 altogether. The singer's The Forget Tomorrow tour, his first in 5 years, is also experiencing lackluster sales. Instead of selling out arenas, tickets are available in all sections in almost every city, and the highest priced ones are going for only $900. Even worse, on Friday, the former NSYNC star went so far as to cancel his June 8th show in Columbia, South Carolina. On the concert's webpage, Ticketmaster states, unfortunately, the event organizer has had to cancel your event with no further explanation. Isn't that the same thing they did with J-Lo? But yeah, I had to hit her with a stray, but we're not going to hit her too hard. Let's focus on Justin. Okay, so it says, Timberlake, who's 43, has yet to comment on the Doom Show's status. Another factor that may be contributing to his recent dip in popularity is the October release of his ex Britney Spears' bombshell memoir, The Woman in Me. The I'm a Slave for You singer opened up for the first time about her tumultuous 3-year relationship with Justin, that was marred by an abortion at Timberlake's suggestion that his cheating with another celebrity. The I Love You singer also broke up with the songstress via text. Well, look, what's worse, text or a post-it? Now, if you know the post-it frame, if you know, put that in the comments. That was Sex in the City, when Carrie got broken up via post-it. Text is the new poster child. But anyway, so it says in the tell-alls, Spears 42 revealed that she unalived a unborn child at 19, and that it was Timberlake's idea because he didn't want to be a father at the time. Because both their careers was taking off, and I feel like Britney is so down home and country that she would have been willing to forego the career to be a mother. Because they all having babies young down in the South. I mean, not just in the South, but it's more prominent in the South. Just like, look, our sister Jamie Lynn was a teen mom, right? So it says, I'm sure people will hate me for this, but I agreed not to have the baby. I don't know if it was the right decision. This is what she wrote in the book. If it had been left up to me alone, I never would have done it. And yet Justin was so sure that he didn't want to be a father. Now, in January, Spears apologized for her book's candor on Instagram by posting a clip of Timberlake with the caption, "I want to apologize for some of the things that I wrote about in my book. If I offended any of the people I genuinely care about, I am deeply sorry." And here's the thing is, I still stand 10 toes down on this. I really wish Britney would have never apologized for what she was going through, because here's the thing. Justin Timberlake and so many other men have had the opportunity to say so many things about that girl for over 20 years into her career, and she sat silent. She didn't say anything. She let people say whatever the hell they wanted to say about her. The book was her opportunity to get her side of the story out there. But I guess typical of what people are expecting of women, and this is why a lot of times when I have conversations with women who are so quick to be, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry," I'm like, stop apologizing. Like, you said what you said, stand 10 toes down on it. I mean, within reason. But for the most part, if somebody treated you badly or people said what they said about you, you have every right to come and defend yourself and windmill them motherfuckers verbally, not physically, because you don't want to end up in jail for assault or misdemeanor. So verbally assault, verbally windmill on their ass. And I felt like she had every right to say what she wanted to say about Justin. And then at one point, what made it worse, remember, he said, "I don't have to apologize to absolutely no effing body," whatever the phrase was. But if you know, you know. I keep referencing every time I go, if you know, you know. Ham and cheese on a roll with an orange drink and a bag of chips. You know, you know. But anyway, let me get serious and talk about this. So Brittany has every right to feel how she feels. And then what was it? Oh, yeah, I do have the phrase, because he was at Irving Plaza when he said it. He said, "I'd like to take this opportunity to apologize to absolutely effing nobody." So even though she took the high road and apologized, he came across looking like a dick. Or maybe he was expressing his true self, which is he is a dick behind the scenes. But Brittany also deleted her apology, but came back with a new post saying, "Someone told me someone was talking ish about me on these streets or on the streets. Do you want to bring it to the court? Or will you go home crying to your mom like you did the last time? I'm not sorry." And that was, back because she mentions in the book that Justin was mad at her because she beat him in basketball. And, her father was very big on the kids playing basketball. Like, I remember her brother Brian played basketball, and she mentions in the book how he was hard on, her father was hard on Brian when he would mess up with, really pushing him. And then Brittany also played basketball. And we've seen even in the video, I believe it was Outrageous with Snoop Dogg, which never aired, or never happened because I think she injured herself. She was in the video with the back cap, the baseball cap on, and in the jersey and everything, playing basketball. So Brittany has tomboy, tease about her, and she was very much an athlete and into sports. But I feel like it's a plethora of things. And I feel like at this point, we have beat a dead horse, and we have constantly talked about this with Justin of like why everything went wrong. I do agree with everything that they said in here. I do believe he took too long releasing records. Back in the day, I guess you could do that and it was not an issue. You could pull a Sade and come back every 10 years and release a record. Now, not so much. You cannot, at this point, I think because Sade is so iconic, she could come out with a new album and people will support it because she's Sade. But when you are a Beyonce, I don't think Beyonce could take 6, 7 years off and people will still be there. She's got to, you have to continue to feed that beast. Taylor Swift, I don't think, could do the same thing, just like Justin Timberlake. And I feel like it also hurt Christina Aguilera's career, who I just heard recently has jumped ship. She's parted ways after 23 years. She's no longer with RCA. She's got a new label, which is within the Sony imprint. I believe it's like a Latin label or whatever the case is. And she's going to be releasing new music because the Spanish music is doing really well. The English language stuff, not so much, because I feel like she is suffering the same thing Justin has. Her fan base is falling off. She has her hardcore fans, but she had to find a way to reinvent herself. And I feel like with Justin, it's the same way. Like, you can't be a male heterosexual pop act and just disappear for 5, 6 years and then come back with new music and expect those same fans to be there. I just feel like maybe fans more or less gravitate and respect women and will support women more than they'll support a male because, no shade, maybe it's a little shade, but you know what? Male celebrities, a lot of y'all are boring. Like, a lot of you male pop stars, y'all don't be giving what needs to be given. Usher is boring, which is why I think his album flopped too. But we already know what they expect when it comes to him. He could do a residency or whatever the case is. He could tour. He'll still do well. But for the most part, a lot of you male pop acts don't really be giving it like the girls do. And I feel like Justin Timberlake's gonna get up there in a little suit and them sneakers and run around the stage and he'll perform or whatever the case is, and people will support and people will like it or whatever the case. And that'll be that. But I just don't feel like he's not as popping as he used to be. And so now they're saying that he's struggling to sell, tickets to his tour. And I'm not surprised that all of this is going on. And I do feel like, the Britney the book hurt him. And then, the stuff in the past about Janet Jackson, that has also hurt him. A lot of people like to neglect the whole Janet Jackson situation, but I do feel like that has played a significant role in why his album is not doing stuff either. It's, every time there's a Super Bowl Sunday, as always, Justice for Janet is hashtagged all up on Twitter. And, people still be out here, complaining about how he was given another chance to perform when he was promoting Man of the Woods. He got to do a solo thing at the Super Bowl. And Janet is still kind of like, even though she is, out here doing her tours or whatever, she's still kind of sort of been kind of thrown away or blacklisted because of what happened. And it wasn't just her. So, she wasn't out here by herself. So I don't know. I saw the opening night in Toronto. I think was the opening night when he was in Canada. It looked like the place was sold out, but that's Canada. There's other places he's supposed to be performing too. So I don't know. I need to look and see like how them tickets is doing. Cause Daily Mail, I remember they did one with J-Lo. I should have probably looked on their page and said they did something about this Justin Timberlake story. And if they had like his seat chart, like how they had hers laid out. And he's struggling, just like she's struggling. But he's not out here like her, where it looked like she had the only attitude when she was in prep. But I'm gonna say that story when I talk about Ben Affleck. A lot of story with him coming up. So let me know what you guys think of this story down below. Do y'all care about Justin Timberlake? Do y'all think that he need to wrap it up? Do you actually think, like I've been saying for the longest, that maybe it's time that after he's done with this, you need to give, the other members of NSYNC a call and be like, okay, let's do something. Because I don't think the Trolls movie did all that well. He had a song with NSYNC and them for that. Then he also has a song with NSYNC on the new album. Then he's also been bringing out NSYNC on this promotional tour before the album came out, where he's like dangling them in everybody's face because he knows everybody gets excited for it. And I think people are getting pissed off because you keep dangling this forbidden fruit in everybody's face. And then you gaslighting your fans. When the fans want NSYNC, and we already talked about it on the show, that what is it? Two of Live Nation and another AEG, that they're in a bidding war trying to get NSYNC to get back together to do a stadium tour. And I do think there's an audience for it. So I think after this is over, in my opinion, NSYNC and NSYNC need to get back together, Justin included. Y'all need to get in the studio with some of the biggest producers. Maybe you need to get oh my God, what's his damn name? Ryan Tedder. Get him on the line. Get Dr. Luke. No, not Dr. Luke, yeah. No. Not Dr. Luke. What's his name? Max Martin. Get him on the line. Get some of these high profile pop producers. Get some good songwriters. Y'all can all have a hand in writing the songs and stuff too. And leave Timberland where he at. Leave his ass in Virginia if that's where he live, or LA. We don't need no more Timberland. That's another thing that Justin Timberlake too. He stayed with Timberland. Leave Timberland where he at. Timberland days is numbered. We ain't featuring Timberland like we used to back in the 2000s when he was hot. But get some high profile pop producers. Maybe go over to Sweden and pick some of those big, because that's what was making these beats and stuff with NSYNC and put them on the map. Get with them Swedish pop producers and get out here and give us some music and hit the road. Because I feel like we may not want Justin, but we do want NSYNC. And trust and believe, because we haven't seen them out here performing so long, like New Kids on the Block and Backstreet Boys have been doing. I think it's time for an NSYNC reunion. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Okay, so okay, I was like, where's the oh, it was like poor Mary Camden. Not Mary Camden, because that's Jessica Biel character from Seventh Heaven. How did I remember that? It's funny because I remember that. I used to watch that show back in the day. Wasn't a father on the show? Didn't he get in trouble because he was alleged, Can't say the word, but it's a P word. A child diddler. And they had him on that damn set around them kids. And it said LOL. And it said, didn't he start dating Child, word on the curb was he was cheating on Cameron Diaz too. I feel like he cheated on every woman he's been with. He was cheating on I forget who he cheated on Cameron Diaz, but I think it was one of them girls. Or it was another, I think it was like a background dancer or something or another. But I remember hearing that story that it was talking about he cheated on Cameron Diaz, he cheated on Britney, he allegedly cheated on, and I always bring this up, he cheated on Jessica Biel with that actress from Saving Dion or Raising Dion. Then when they were shooting that film in New Orleans, she had her hand on his thigh and got busted because they posted it in the tabloids. One little one, he got a kid out of wedlock with somebody. Plus, Justin Timberlake was 37 on his last album. Now he's 43 years old, and it's like you could be a legacy, and nobody's talking about you can't get older or whatever the case was, but you can't take long periods off in between albums. Man, I get it if you're trying to raise you being a dad and you're raising your kids or whatever, but you have to constantly feed the machine. So it's either NSYNC tour or Las Vegas. Well, you could probably do both. So it's like, yeah, if you're not going to do an NSYNC tour, which is what the fans want, not solo Justin. I feel like solo Justin, his days is over. Like nobody cares. But if there are people who care, I do agree with the Las Vegas residency. I feel like as a solo act, he's got to do the Las Vegas residency. If you want to sell out arenas, you got to do the NSYNC tour. And if you're going to do the NSYNC tour, I feel like that's the opportunity to bring in people from that era. I can't think of nobody off the top of my head who would be good to be like an opening act, or you can include other artists from that generation. And just, I don't think it needs to be an NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, New Kids, like they've already done that. New Kids on the Block does that, where they had, NKO, NTOKB, SB, where they combined them all together and they brought in that other stuff. We don't even need 98 Degrees. Ain't nobody listening to Nick Lachey and them. Although his wife is unemployed. I don't know if y'all heard, but that show she was on, NCIS Hawaii, was canceled. So she's unemployed again. But yeah, nobody cares about 98 Degrees or something. So I don't know if y'all would know some people off the top of my head, I can't think because I'm so concentrating on this show and all the other stuff I gotta talk about. I can't think of nobody from that generation that people would be interested in enough that they could bring in as an opening act for NSYNC. But we need that. Yeah, you and me both. And it was like, yes, I wanted to buy the complete series, but I can't support him. I'm hoping to meet Catherine Hicks with Alex Vincent on a horror expo. Look at you talking about the original, the OGs from Child's Play. It's about Catherine Hicks and Alex Vincent. But yeah, I do. Yeah. We can't support Seventh Heaven because of the dad was a pervert in real life. But anyway, let's move on. You know what? I'm gonna save this Tyrese story for tomorrow because I feel like speaking of which, you know what? I'm gonna cut a couple of these topics. I'm gonna say the Tyrese and the Brad Pitt story for tomorrow. Let's go to let's do Michael Jackson since we in the whole pop music situation. Yeah, I'm gonna say some of them topics for tomorrow because I feel like this show is about to be 3 hours any damn way. But yeah, let's talk about Michael. Because, Wade Robson and James Safechuck are still going in on this whole Michael Jackson trial, which I don't understand what they thinking they're going to get out of this because Michael been dead for over 15 years. So I just feel like this is a waste of time and energy. Further, we can't interview the dead unless you're going to bring Teresa Caputo or one of them fucking people in it to speak on his behalf. But let's entertain it just for entertainment's sake. So Wade Robson, 40, and James Safechuck, 45, had alleged that Michael Jackson SA'd them for years and that employees of the two companies, MJJ Productions and MJJ Ventures, Inc., were complicit, acting as his co-conspirators, collaborators, facilitators, and alter egos for the abuse. Now, the lawyers representing Michael Jackson's accusers, Wade and James, were called out by the late pop star's companies in court. Now, according to court documents obtained by Radar Online, Jackson's companies being sued by Robson and Safechuck over alleged SA as children by the singer accused the men's new lawyer, John Carpenter, of making, not the director, of making incendiary claims in a recent media blitz. Robson and Safechuck were headed to trial with Jackson's companies. The two filed separate lawsuits in 2013. Robson claimed Jackson started abusing him when he was 7, and it went on for years. Safechuck said he met Jackson when he was 10, and the two became close. He said the singer started abusing him during his 1988 Bad tour, and it continued for many years. The case was initially dismissed but revived on appeal. In the recent motion, Jackson's company slammed Carpenter over his recent remarks in the press, saying plaintiff's new counsel, John Carpenter, has been on a press tour making numerous statements about this case to multiple media outlets. Mr. Carpenter's statements were not simple reports on the progress of the case or a factual recitation of events in court. Rather, he is making incendiary claims and accusations that have been substantial likelihood of materially prejudicing the jury pool in the case in favor of his clients and against defendants. They added Mr. Carpenter's attempts to try this case in the press and not in court are anti-ethical to the fair administration of justice, a violation of Rule 8.4. The parties are effectively at the beginning of this case. Mr. Carpenter cannot be allowed to disregard the ethical obligations under the rules of professional conduct by continuing his tactic of running to the press at every opportunity between now and trial to make whatever inflammatory and provocative statements he can to advance plaintiff's case and attempt to position the jury pool against defendants. And then also, we talked about the whole upcoming biopic that they're working on with Jafar Jackson, which is Michael's nephew. And it's a star-studded cast. I'm actually looking forward to the movie and seeing what they're going to talk about. But they did say that they're going to address the SA allegations and the many trials that Michael has been through over the years where he was accused of molesting, young boys. And Carpenter spoke out about the upcoming biopic. And the lawyer claiming the film was trying to rewrite history and portray Jackson in a positive light despite the accusations. Well, look, we ain't going to know what the tea is until we see the damn movie. Which is why, like I also said, because I believe the person that wrote the Michael Jackson biopic is the same person that wrote Bohemian Rhapsody. And I didn't particularly care for Bohemian Rhapsody because I felt like y'all were trying to queer wash Freddie Mercury. But y'all were trying to make it seem like he was more bisexual than a homosexual. When Quiet as a Skip, Freddie was out here laying alone and spreading wild with a lot of dudes. It wasn't just some one-off situation where he went cruising in a man's bathroom, which we all know what was it, maybe a decade later, George Michael got busted for by an undercover cop. So he said that Jackson was worse than you know. Let's not forget that in America, corporations legally considered people. The only reason for them to live is to make money. That's their sole goal. I'm not surprised this corporation is trying to rewrite the history of what Michael Jackson did to maximize profits. It's shameful they're trying to do that, but that's what they're doing. He also compared Jackson to the Catholic Church, saying they have to get the truth out. There was a time not long ago where the thought of the Catholic Church was abusing children was unthinkable. Oh, they still be up in here trying to act like that shit don't happen. Although there are many people who do put that stuff out there. He said now it's accepted. The church goes on with its mission. Now, regarding the movie, he said the estate's sole existence to live and exist is to make money. And so the movie is just one piece in their efforts to rehabilitate and rewrite the history of Michael Jackson and what he did to James, Wade, and other children. So Jackson's companies are pleading with the court to step in and stop Carpenter from continuing to trash Jackson in the press. And this is what I said, you know what? This is why I said, you know what, if you are an attorney, you should not be going on pulling this Donald Trump like stuff where the trial is the trial. You need to be in the trial. You need to be doing what you're doing in there and not just having these little press conferences where you're spewing things and going against where the judges basically keeps threatening Donald Trump. Oh, we're going to put you in jail. We're going to gag you. We're going to charge you a fine. We're going to do all these things. And it's like, that's what they're doing. Just continue to smack him on the hand and nothing comes of it. It's like, just throw his ass in jail. Same thing with this attorney. Like, I'm not sitting there defending Michael. Look, I wasn't there. He done did it with my butt and my genitals and all those other stuff. So I don't know if any of this stuff is true. But if you are able to present it in court, without you're going to present it, You're going to let the courts handle it the way they need to handle it. So we'll find out what's going to happen when the verdict gets dropped or when the people who's on the jury hear the evidence or whatever the case is, and we'll see. But like I said earlier in the show, I don't know how you're going to make all this work because the man's not here anymore. He's dead. Like, how can we prove this? How can Michael be here to defend himself? I know they tried to incorporate nudes of Michael Jackson in court because they want to describe, I guess, birthmarks, vitiligo all over the dick. I don't know what the case is. Because remember, Michael said, then they said Michael had vitiligo. And I've seen guys with vitiligo and you know they look like they got spots and stuff on it. Shout out to the people with the vitiligo, you know, the skin problems and all the stuff. But you know, y'all look like cows. You know, brown cow stunning. Shout out to you know my girl Monique Hart, or as she go by now, Mo Hart. And you know, I guess they wanted to describe some things, and they was like, we're not going to allow that in court. So they let them do what they need to do, and stop trying to sway the court of public opinion, because we realize we're in a time now where it seems like, regardless of the verdict and how courts handle things, which we already know the judicial system is flawed. Like I always talk about how the system is flawed, especially towards people of color. We've seen that happen a long time. And which is why I feel like also with OJ, why he got away with murder. We knew his ass was guilty, but because of what happened during the, I was about to say the Stonewall riots, during, the Rodney King situation and what happened in LA with the riots because of the abuse of the police and the racism and all the other stuff, people look the other way. So I don't know. Well, I'm just gonna wait to see how this all turns out. But I don't like the idea of you know, attorneys going out there and trying to do smear campaigns without letting the people of the courts do their job. I could say if they were trying to do some corrupt type shit, then you can come out and complain. But let them do their job and don't mess it up for Wade and James if they have a legitimate case. Let the judge and the jury and all other stuff, let the work speak for itself. If you got enough evidence, you got a way to get it through the courts and have them do what they need to do, then let it work the way it needs to work. But in the meantime, stop going on this whole situation and doing smear campaigns. But anyway, let me know what y'all think about this story down below. Okay, so we have comments. And it says, Michael Jackson was a product of his environment. Poor guy. Who knows what happened? He was a good. Well, look, I like the music. I like, all the other stuff. But yeah, it's like we don't know what people are capable of, because it's like people will show you one side of them and then you find out they're a monster behind the scenes. But if you got enough evidence, you could bring enough people to sit there and say that he did this. Look, he was close with Corey Feldman, and Corey Feldman was someone who was not afraid to shout from the rooftops the amount of abuse he and his friend, may he rest in peace, Corey Haim, dealt with back in the day. Corey Haim, I lived for Corey Haim. I loved a lot of his movies. One of my favorite movies of his, two of them. Well, three of them. Lucas, which there's a rumor that went around that he was essayed by Charlie Sheen. That's a rumor that's floating around, allegedly. Let me just say that. Also, I loved Silver Bullet. That's where he played a paraplegic. And it was like a werewolf that was going around killing people. One of my favorite horror movies from, the Stephen King novel. And The Lost Boys. Top 3 movies that I love from Corey Haim. And the rumor was always, and that's why he was into drugs, and I think he died of an OD, because he was passed around like a petri dish in Hollywood. He was steadily getting abused and getting put on drugs and all this other stuff. And then the same thing with Corey Feldman. Corey Feldman has always been someone who shouted from the rooftops about the abuse that he was enduring in Hollywood, and even named names. And then people was asking, why didn't you name names? He said, I did name names. There's like full court documents where I was putting putting them on blast. Michael Jackson, he has always said that he's never done nothing to him. So if someone like Corey Feldman has not been afraid to shout out from the rooftops about other people abusing him, why hasn't he said the same thing about Michael Jackson? They were thick as thieves. So I'm side-eyeing this story. And even as an adult, Wade Robson has done many a tribute to Michael Jackson. Wade Robson has, I believe, choreographed for Michael Jackson. And I believe that he was supposed to be on Michael Jackson's final tour, but when he was fired, they're saying that there was, that this is a lot of what this is coming from, that this is sour grapes. So I don't know. I'm side-eyeing it. But like I said, if the courts is going to do what they need to do, let the courts do what they need to do. If his family is involved, the movie will well, the family is involved. I believe that it is being produced by the estate. And look, Michael's nephew is playing Michael Jackson, Jafar Jackson. So the family is involved in the movie. And I said that because they need the family's permission to use the music. And if the family is involved, you got an actual Jackson relative playing Michael. You know the family's gonna be involved. So I know so I said from the beginning it's gonna be a bias. Like the movie's probably gonna be biased. But I'm like, if you're gonna do the whole Michael, you have to really go there with these biopics, especially you can't ignore the elephant in the room. That's like doing a movie about O.J. Simpson and not including the whole situation that happened with Nicole and Ron Goldman. You can't do a O.J. Simpson biopic without the trial being put in it. It doesn't make sense. So it's like, given that there are nearly 10 different accusers, I believe Michael was inappropriate with Wade and James. But what's working against them is the fact that they are males and have previously denied it. That could be another thing too, because there are people. I'll agree with you with that. Because there is a situation where they say, like, you know what, males are, whenever males speak out, there's this stigma against males who are abused. Oh, you're weak. Oh, you allowed it or whatever. But it's always expected that if a girl's abused, we tend to be more empathetic towards them than we are with males. And then in the past, you denied it, and now you're speaking up. But they always tell us we're supposed to believe, people who are abused. We should always believe them before anything. So, like I said, they just gotta be able to prove it in court, which I know might be hard. But I said that's the point. To believe it and get paid. I think, and it will start with public opinion. It's not fair or right when the man is not alive to defend himself baseless allegations. Like I said, it's like the man is dead. He's not here to defend himself. So it's to me, I feel like it's gonna be hard for him to bring this up. You know what? I'm gonna also say this Jennifer Lopez story for tomorrow. Cause like I got a lot of topics that I'm gonna hit because I'm like, otherwise we're gonna be up here for 3.5. Well, I'm about to hit 3 hours anyway with the show. And that's because, the comments and stuff. Not that I'm complaining, because keep them coming. Like I said, I'm gonna cut up the episode later on and upload all the individual topics to the site. Anyway, so it's like, oh yeah, I remember you were telling me this story. It's like where you were talking about you were abused by a neighbor, and yeah, it's like you speak out about it. You want to speak up, and a lot of times, a lot of men, a lot of boys are not believed because there's it's toxic masculinity, and like I said, if you have been abused, you should be able to speak up. I truly believe that. Wait, hold on. Do I have something? Oh, yep. I got a little situation up in there. I'm gonna drop that up in there if anybody ever been abused or whatever the case is. I was like, call that hotline as they should, because this isn't a place. People should speak out and against things that has happened to them in the world. Oh yeah, I forgot to read Felix. He said his tour should be called the "You Forgot Me" tour. And then Default says, "Damn." Okay, I guess what happened with Felix, because I remember you told me that you've been through a lot of situations where you were abused or whatever. Okay, so let's move on. Let's talk about Miss Whoopi Goldberg, who is opening up about her experience on The View. I will play the clip and stuff, but I don't know. It might get flagged, whatever. I'm real sensitive these days where it comes about my channel getting flagged because I got in trouble with Madonna's people. Sent me an email and they took down one of my episodes because they said I used something without permission. I'm like, child, first of all, it's fair use. It was a photo, and I don't know why people are getting all bent out of shape. But whatever. Anyway, let's just move on. This is about Whoopi. So I was like, I'm going to be tread lightly when it comes to using stuff from other people's channels, especially when you're on a network. So Whoopi Goldberg says The View ain't what it used to be, explaining audiences are ready to jump on hosts at any comment for any little comment they make, regardless of intention. So this is according to Variety, where I got this story from. So it says Whoopi Goldberg was the latest guest on Who's Talking with Chris Wallace on Max and was asked about, it's Warner Brothers. I definitely ain't messing with them. And using a footage. Anyway, so it says, and was asked about what it's been like co-hosting The View for the last 17 years. The EGOT winner joined the daytime franchise in 2007. Asked by Wallace if she still likes hosting the program, Goldberg acknowledged that it was a better gig back in the day when people did not automatically weaponize everything she said, saying, and I quote, I liked it better before because there was not people didn't assume that you were starting out to be nasty or horrible or saying stuff, Goldberg said. You used to say something and somebody would say, well, actually, that's not so. And you could make that adjustment. Or you could say, well, this is why I thought about it this way. You can't do that anymore. Nobody wants to hear what you were thinking. They're only saying that's what you said. And that must mean that your whole life is that. It's like, wow. He says, I feel like now you're always having to hedge what you say because you don't want to piss people off. Asked by Wallace if there's anything that's pissing her off right now that she'd like to talk about, Goldberg concluded, yeah, but if I say it's only going to be a problem, only be a problem for you. While Goldberg did not bring up any specific examples, she did face enormous amounts of backlash in 2022 when she was temporarily suspended from The View for saying the Holocaust was not about race during a live episode. In an interview with the Sunday Times later that year, Goldberg courted controversy again for saying some Jewish people themselves are divided over whether they are a race or a religion. She also doubled down and said the Holocaust wasn't originally about race. Well, here's the thing with that. I think a lot of times in a lot of Black households, that was something that was discussed or that was something that she was led to believe. And I do feel that instead of people coming down on people for having a difference of opinion, they were ready to cancel her. Oh, she don't know what she's talking about. And the worst part about it is you'll see people deliberately misspell her name in the comments, Whoopie. It's like, you ain't never seen an E in Whoopi Goldberg. It's not spelled like Whoopi Cushion. So it was always Whoopi. So people would always kind of put that. And first of all, Whoopi Goldberg has worked with a lot of people in the Hollywood who is Jewish. And you realize that when she was saying all these things, this is the power of the Jewish community, especially when you see what they're talking about with the whole Israel-Palestine situation. If you say anything remotely critical against Jewish people, you are automatically deemed anti-Semitic, which I wholeheartedly disagree with. You cannot be anti-Semitic if you're coming from a place of like it's not being discriminative or you're using certain words that will be deemed racist, like certain slurs or whatever the case is. Now that I feel is you being anti-Semitic, or if you say something deemingly stereotypical. Like to me, if you're gonna say that the Holocaust wasn't solely based on race, as a Jewish person, I'd be like, you know what? That's not necessarily true, and this is why. And when it comes to conversations, I love a good debate. I love having conversations with people who have a difference of opinion. And it's like, you know what? What you're saying is incorrect, and this is why I disagree with what you said. And me, I'd be more open about, okay, so why do you feel the way you feel? Educate me, because I may not know. And the only way we learn in this world is by opening ourselves up to learning from other people. And that's how you grow and that's how you evolve as a human being. But these days, I do agree that people get into this space where it's like, you're wrong. I don't like what you said. You should be canceled. And to me, it's like, first of all, you cannot cancel a human being. I'm not a sitcom that you just came up with and I'm not doing good in the ratings. So you're going to chop me. Like, that's not how that works. But you could definitely put some stuff out. I'm like, so I don't know. It's just hard. So I just hate when people say, "Oh, you cancel that person." I'm like, to me, that's just a lazy ass word that a lot of people want to use to go against stuff that people say. Meanwhile, you got people out here saying all kinds of crazy stuff on the Republican side, and nothing happens to them. But you realize that people who are more or less on these liberal shows. If they say, and especially if you're a person of color, they ready to get rid of your ass. If you Mark Lamont Hill, they want to fire you. If you're Don Lemon and you say something that the white people don't like, they ready to fire your ass. And the same thing with Whoopi Goldberg. Like, to me, I feel like maybe this is also a reason why when you watch The View, Whoopi just sits there as the moderator with her hand like this, looking like she's bored, like she'd rather just be crocheting or smoking her weed in her house out in Jersey, rather than or playing with her grandkids and her great grandkids and getting her back blown out, like she mentioned in the last episode that we did. Hit it and quit it. Than doing The View. And my feeling is this: if you are not as enthused to be at a job, then fucking leave. Go off and do something else. But then that's what I feel like that's what Whoopi is doing. It's like you just happy to just be having a steady gig. You've been there for 17 years. But my thing is this: you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, and know when to run. Shout out to Kenny Rogers for them lyrics. But Yeah, it's like I'm not going to sit and stay with a job that I'm not excited about if I can't say what I want to say. That's why I love being on YouTube versus being on a network, because networks, they be so ready to cancel your ass or to get you fired if you say the wrong thing. This is why a lot of time when you watch why the viewers gotten boring, because all they talk about is the same political crap over and over, or they want to give the same tired ass talking points and make it like these people out here that are protesting or don't know what the hell they're talking about, or that they're shit starters, or they're misinformed about what's going on in Israel and stuff. And the only in Gaza, and the only person that's really been speaking up but has to tread lightly on what she says is Sunny Hostin. The rest of them up there want to make it like, oh well, Joe Biden's this amazing human being and Donald Trump is the devil. And that's this narrative that they're putting out. And don't get me wrong, Donald Trump is the devil, but Joe Biden ain't no saint either. He's really not, especially with the way he's been, a lot of people are pissed off with how he's been running, you know, this country for the past 3.5, almost 4 years. So they're both not that innocent in the words of Britney Spears. So that's what people's frustrations are. And for y'all to not just be really going in and having conversations about politics, real conversations. You see more people on social media having real conversations because you have the freedom to do that, versus if you're on a network, you're so beholden by so many powerful people that if you say the wrong thing, you end up fired. You end up, ostracized. You have to resort to what Chris Cuomo and Don Lemon and so many other people have done, which is they've had to, and Mehdi Hassan, I need to put him in there as well, where they have to resort to going on, building their own networks, going on social media and streaming and doing, their little collection plate, like, the super chats or Cash App or whatever you want to call it, to be able to support their channel. And that's why I'd rather, if the opportunity came for me to be on TV, that'd be great. But I actually love being on social media because it gives me the freedom to be able to really give the information without without the fear of, oh, well, he said the wrong thing, y'all need to fire him. But mind you, you got these other clowns like on Fox News that go on and say all kinds of crazy shit and nothing happens. So, and then they end up having to apologize. So, like I said, Whoopi, I love you, but if you're not really that excited to be on The View, then maybe it is time that you need to leave and let Joy Behar take over, even though Joy does piss me off in regards of how far up Joe Biden's ass she is with a lot of her politics. But for the most part, let her moderate, and then they bring Anna Navarro up in there full time to be the other co-host. And then, because I can only tolerate the show for Anna Navarro. The rest of them girls is like, whatever. And Sunny, even though she gets a little too much for me sometimes, I do live for Sunny Hostin. So I just feel like at this point, Whoopi, if you're not excited about being on The View, then maybe it's time for you to walk away and just focus on making movies and appearing on TV shows and all other stuff. So maybe that's what you need to do. But I feel like she's not going to go nowhere. She's just going to say what she says, and she'll just stick with The View until the wheels fall off. And my thing is, like I said, if I ain't excited about a job, my ass is leaving. But let me know what you guys think down below. And if y'all do care, you can watch the full episode with Whoopi on Who's Talking with Chris Wallace, which is streaming on HBO Max if y'all have it. But let me know what you guys think down below. Now, we have 2 more topics, and then we are pretty much done with today's show. But let me get to these comments. Oh, yeah, we do have our own censorship, which is why I haven't monetized it. Yeah, but you're right. We do have our own censorship when it comes to stuff. They said the parents would be on it with some of the essay cases at least. And you would think, but a lot of times these parents, like one of the prominent things I've noticed in Hollywood, a lot of parents will sell their own children to the devil in order for them to have that success. Like we saw it like with the stories that came out about the Nickelodeon allegations and all that other stuff that was coming out. So a lot of these parents will look the other way and be like, oh, yeah, I think they know what they're doing and stuff. Meanwhile, you get Drake Bell's father, who had a gut instinct about one of the guys that worked on the show. And the molester went and transpired and tried to get up in Drake's ear and the mother's ear, and then he was pushed out, and then the mother was just like, the minute that the father was pushed out of the way and the mother became the manager and was taking over his career, that's when that man went and abused Drake Bell. So a lot of these parents, they do look the other way when it comes to the kids getting caught up in these places of going to clubs and at 14 or 13, Drew Barrymore will tell you the stories of all the abuse she endured in Hollywood with the drugs and being promiscuous and all that other stuff. So, you know, Hollywood has always been like this weird cesspool. Some of the kids have been, some of the kids got good managers and been protected from being in that world. Shout out to Sonya Norwood. Like she protected Brandy and well, as much as she could for Ray J, but she protected, you know. And then there's a lot of parents out who really protected their kids from the craziness that was going on in Hollywood. Jaleel White said that he was protected. You had Melissa Joan Hart didn't have to endure a lot of stuff, but she gets it, and she understands, she empathizes. So there's been like enough. There's been quite a few kids that have been able to be protected and shielded from the abuse. And then unfortunately, there were some kids who weren't and paid the price. I truly believe that something happened to Brad Renfro, and I live for him. His career was definitely on the rise, and I do believe that something happened to him. It was like I never heard. Well, I did hear the book. What am I talking about? Her mother was a mess too. Jade, her mother was a hot ass mess. My point is, it's like personal injury fraud. Not everybody, maybe. Could be. Now, speaking of The View, let's talk about one of his former co-hosts, Nutmeg McCain, who, for someone who claims to have moved on from The View, Nutmeg can't seem, she seems to have a hard time keeping a name out of her mouth. Now, the Mama too shut down any speculation that she might one day consider a return to the daytime talk show, exclusively telling Astra in the Page Six studio that there's not a chance in hell producers would ask her to come back, and she wouldn't either way. Well, Sidebar says, I don't think they would even want you back. You are a nuisance. And probably was at the time your ass was there. But let's continue. She said, I've had kids since then. She said, I really like my life right now, and I feel like it's taken me a long time to sort of get to a place where people are seeing me as more serious. Yeah, okay. She says, I'm 39. I'll be 40 in October, and there's something about pushing 40, she continues, noting that general attitudes about her being a spoiled baby have started to die down. Well, it's probably because we haven't seen you in the spotlight, and if you were on, I think the spoiled baby comes up every time you tag The View or you say something about The View. Because whenever she goes on her little rants about whatever, they do bring up the Nepo baby thing, that you're John McCain's daughter, that you wouldn't be where you are if it wasn't for your father and all other. Like, she still gets it. But, I guess because she hasn't really been in the spotlight a lot, that's why she's not hearing it as much. She says, I think it's because I'm still working and a mom of two, which she shares daughters Clover, who's 1, and Liberty, Sage, with husband Ben Dominic, who's another piece of shit. But anyway, they said the Bad Republican, a memoir author, joined the daytime talk show as co-host with Joy, Whoopi, Sonny, Sarah Haynes, and Anna Navarro in 2017. She later quit the show in 2021, telling the audience she wanted to make Washington, D.C. a permanent home for her family. And, The View is based in New York. I can tell you where the View studio is. It's literally in Lincoln Square. So I used to go. The only movie theater I love going to when I'm in New York is the Lincoln Square one, because it's quiet. I don't have to deal with a lot of bullshit and drama. Every now and again, you get a couple of people that just don't know how to be quiet when it comes to the movies. But for the most part, it's like one of my favorite movie theaters to go to on 68th Street in that whole area. The View studio is actually in the same studio as Live with Kelly and who is she with now? Mark, her husband, and the Eyewitness News studio, which you can literally walk past it and it's got glass and you can see inside the studio where they film, Channel 7 Eyewitness News. So the View studio is literally, they're all in the same building, so they're off over in that area. So yeah, they're in New York. I actually got to go on the View once. And then I got a lot of gifts and all other stuff. It was like during their Thanksgiving episode. It was a holiday episode, and they was giving away a lot of Christmas stuff, which I managed to sell them stuff because I was like, what am I going to do with these toys? So I actually, all the gifts that I got, for the most part, I sold them, except there was a Yoda that I got. And, with a lightsaber and everything, I gave it to my father for Christmas. So it said, as for her relationships with her former co-host, McCain says things are complicated, saying, I don't talk to any of the main co-hosts that I was with, but I still do have friends that work on the show and people that I've made relationships with. But I never want to say who, because I don't want them to get bullied for still being my friend. Like, I don't want them to publicly or them to be publicly or privately bullied, and I actually have. Despite a fractured relationship from the show, McCain revealed she's surprisingly grown close with some View hosts whose tenure was outside her time on the show. As she promoted her new podcast, Citizen McCain, which is a clever title, by the way, the political pundit shared one of those friends will be making an appearance on the show. So yeah, she won't talk about who is going to be, who from the show she's still friends with. I have a strange feeling. I think I know who it is. Well, I don't know if she's familiar with Alyssa Farrah Griffin because they're both Republicans, so it might be her. But I have a strange feeling that she's friends with Sunny Hostin still, even though she's been disrespectful to all them girls up on that stage. And I believe she's friends with Sunny Hostin because Sunny Hostin is one of those type of girls that got to be friends with everybody. She collects friends like tchotchkes. If you ever watch her on that show, she's always saying, oh, my friend here, the friend there. I got all these friends that I be inviting out to things, and I got 200 friends. Nobody has 200 damn friends. For the most part, if you be lucky, if you got at least a good 2 or 3 friends, real good Judies that you friends with. But Sunny has always given me like she is one of those overachiever types that got to be friends with everybody. And I'm like, child, first of all, not everybody is your friend, but if that's how you roll in life, then that's great. But she said that she's friends with Rosie O'Donnell and that Rosie is coming on her podcast. So that's great. If Rosie want to come on your show, then she should be able to come on the show. I don't feel like Rosie should be canceled because she's friends with Megan. But we know that Rosie and Elizabeth Hasselbeck, we know that if they ever, Elizabeth ain't never coming on her show, and if she got a podcast, vice versa. But she said she's also friends with Jenny McCarthy Wahlberg, because she's married to Donnie Wahlberg. And she's also, speaking of which, she said she's friends with Elizabeth Hasselbeck. She says, I have her number on my phone. It's kind of weird. Like it's a weird, it's like a weird thing to be part of a weird TV. I'm not time to go say weird in a damn sentence. So, look, for me, I gotta say this. I'm glad Megan loves to keep, she can't keep the View's name out her damn mouth, but I feel like the producers of the View would rather dig up Barbara Walters' body and prop her up on that show, send a seat like Weekend and Bernie style, before that they would invite her miserable opportunistic behind back to the show. So you can talk about the View all you want, talk about you over the View, you tired of the View, you give 2 shits and a flying fuck about the View, but I think that the View has moved on. Like, except that one time that Anna Navarro did read you on the show, which was classic. To my opportunistic people with Nepo babies and all this other stuff. And she used to work on the show, and it took them a second for them to realize who they was talking about. And girl, you are a Nepo baby. I keep telling y'all, just own up to the fact that you're a Nepo baby. And if it wasn't for someone in your family who was in a position of power, whatever the case is, that you wouldn't be able to get what you got. And the main thing is, yeah, you could be a Nepo baby and you could get into the door and you get those opportunities, but it's what you do with that power and those opportunities that makes you what it makes you. And don't shy away from it. Like if I had a father or mother or both my parents was powerful celebrities or whatever, and they were in a position and their cachet basically helped me figure out what I wanted to do. If it was like I was a DJ, if I wanted to make music, or if I wanted to be a podcast, or whatever the case was, and I used that as an opportunity to showcase my talent. Why wouldn't I not take advantage of that? Because it's like, yeah, yes, because of my parents I got here, but also my talent is what got me through the door that's kept me here. Because anybody can get an opportunity to be put in the door, but it's, do you have the talent to back it up and to sustain it? That's the main thing. So, Megan, or Nutmeg as I like to call her, girl, they're never going to invite you back to the View. So just move on, cut your losses, and stop always bringing them up. But I guess it's because, these blogs, websites, whatever you want to call it, constantly ask her about the View. And she doesn't hesitate to bring it up or answer it. So let me know what you guys think about this story in the comments down below. Okay, so we got one more topic. And we are, so really, girl? Yeah, I wouldn't put it past her. Probably Sarah Haynes, because Sarah Haynes another one. She says she's independent, but sometimes she be saying some stuff that I be side-eyeing her too. And she said she sounds like someone in her 20s saying their club buddies are actual. Oh, you talking about Nutmeg? Yeah, I'm like, she's almost 40. So yeah, she's a millennial. Time flies. Okay, so let's get to our final topic, and let's talk about Leah McSweeney, because we talked about the other day about how Andy Cohen was vindicated. They did a thing on whether or not there was any allegations about, him promoting drug use and, all this other stuff. But you know what? Bravo cleared him, and they said they found no wrongdoing, which I don't know why I didn't push this further in the last. I said, look, they found what they found. It is what it is. But I'm like, if you got people in-house doing, doing a checking out and see if there was any wrongdoing or whatever, are we supposed to believe them? Especially when the person that's, he's, a higher up, like he's someone who is, had an executive position, the only executive, but now he's talent. The only executive position that he has is, being, an executive producer on all the Housewives and Watch What Happens Live. And Bravo has positioned Andy in a way that he is kind of like the face of Bravo. And when you position someone in that place, are we going to get a fair assessment and a fair, what's the word? It's like, you're going to find anything that's going to actually get him out or fire him. Because then once Andy's gone, who is going to be the face of Bravo? Like, they don't have nobody like that. He's literally been solidified as the face of Bravo. So it says, according, page 6 is reporting this, says after Bravo boss Andy Cohen was cleared by the network for allegations including promoting drug use, former reality star Leah McSweeney's lawyers are calling into question the legitimacy of the probe and saying they were never contacted by investigators. They further claim Bravo is just using Cohen being cleared as a convenient party line timed to its upfront presentations for advertisers when networks promote their buzziest titles. Because, all the Housewives shows are renewed. And, Married to Medicine, a bunch of other stuff. They also said there's a show with Snoop Dogg and his daughter Corday has been, they're going to have that come out. And then the one show that wasn't renewed, it seems, is Vanderpump Rules. But they did say they were putting it on pause. So it may come back and brought back in the, next season. But I heard, because I was going to watch Vanderpump Rules, but everybody was saying the shit was boring. So if Vanderpump Rules was a given when need to be given, and you got Ariana out here smelling herself like her shit don't stink, when it was like, girl, if it wasn't for Scandival, nobody will be even checking for you. Quiet as is kept, but she out here talking about contracts and people need to read her contract or whatever. It's like, girl, don't nobody care to read your tired ass contract. Quiet as it's kept. Nobody cares about you as a talent. So I think people will put Lala, and I don't even like Lala, over you any second. But anyway, let's get back to Andy because it's about him. They further claim they said Bravo stated this week that the outside investigation into the recent allegations made by Brandi Glanville and Leah McSweeney against Andy Cohen has now been completed, and the claims are found to be unsubstantiated. Jesus. McSweeney's lawyers aren't buying it. They said, how do you have an investigation without speaking to anyone? As far as we know, no one ever contacted our firm, her lawyer Gary L. Edelman said in a statement. Our opinion is that no one is going to believe this was a real investigation. This is perfect timing, the attorney said. One line so they can repeat it to all the advertisers at the upfronts. He added, we look forward to reviewing all of the interviews, evidence, and final reports of the investigation that NBCU conducted when we received them during the discovery phase of the lawsuit. Now, former Bravo star McSweeney, who is sober, filed suit in February claiming Cohen rewards Real Housewives stars with whom he uses the booger sugar with more favorable treatment and edits. She also alleged that Cohen created a workplace culture that thrives off drug and alcohol abuse, which leads to a failure to accommodate employees who are disabled and attempting to remain substance-free. Cohen adamantly denied the claims, and his lawyers demanded an apology. Former fellow Housewives star Brandi Glanville's lawyers also sent a letter to NBCU, Shed Media, and Shed's parent company Warner Brothers Discovery in March, alleging Cohen sent her a sexually inappropriate video. Cohen, who was, how you doing, apologized and said it was a joke. Now, if he said that and Brandi had the evidence, and he said, I'm sorry, it was a joke, then why is everything else that's coming out about Andy considered a lie? Just wondering. Just asking. If you know what I'm saying, I think you do. Read between the lines. So, Cohen also called McSweeney's claims hurtful and added, I know what the truth is and I know how I've conducted myself, and I walk tall every day on that. It was an investigation done in-house, like I said. So, sorry. So if it's an in-house investigation, doesn't that pretty much mean that they're going to side with Andy? That they're going to side, like NBC is going to be like, oh yeah, we found nothing. Even though Andy has openly admitted that he is a hard partier, that he has never, I don't believe, admitted that he has partaken in the booger sugar. But I'm going to say allegedly, 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 allegedly. I've heard stories, and this was long before Kathy Griffin came out and said it, that he does partake. And I know people who have partied with Andy. I know people who have slept with Andy. But, because, he likes black men. And, I got a lot of black friends. Hello. I am half black. So, with that being said, it's like, child, the gays talk, the people talk. And this is why I gravitate more towards the people who I know that speak up on things that will come out and say what needs to be said. So do I think Andy is innocent in this whole situation? No. But I also feel that because of NBC Universal, and they have way too much at stake in regards to what's going on, that they're going to defend and protect their asset at all costs. And Andy is so indoctrinated in the NBC zeitgeist, especially what's going on with Bravo and him being the face of Bravo. They're going to do whatever they can to keep that shit afloat and to keep that, that whole Housewives thing and everything else going. Because if they were to fire Andy Cohen, what does that mean regarding the future of the Housewives? What does that mean for BravoCon, which has been postponed this year and is supposed to be coming back like the MTV Movie Awards in 2025? That's when they plan on bringing it back. So what does all that mean in the future in regards of, Andy Cohen and that whole situation? It unravels a whole, like you pull out a little piece of the thread, it unravels the whole thing. So I just feel like NBC Universal just did a little, you probably did a little pomp and circumstance, a little dog and pony show where they probably didn't really do no investigating. But if that's what the lawyer said, it's like, okay, where's the evidence? First of all, you ain't called none of us over here. You didn't speak to anybody in our orbit. You haven't questioned Leah. You haven't questioned Brandy. You haven't questioned Caroline Manzo, because Caroline got her own situation where she filed a lawsuit against Bravo, against what happened with her during Ultimate Girls Trip. So, and then we had the whole reality reckoning with Bethany. What happened with that? We haven't heard from Bethany about that since then. Now she out here talking about her mother passed, which I get. I feel bad about that. But then you had the whole divorce podcast and everything and all this other stuff going on. So I know Bethany's got her own issues that she's dealing with. But also at the same time, it's like, y'all had all this stuff ready to go against Bravo. But is it the machine is too powerful that y'all can't penetrate it? You can't penetrate the force field? Or is there a lot more going on here? So I'm curious. That's what's happening. And you know what? I will be keeping my eyes and my ears out in the streets and on this story as it develops. And we'll see, like, if Leah's lawyers are going to continue to fight, if Brandy's lawyers are going to continue to fight against Bravo, and see what becomes of that. But I just feel like, you know what? Andy, you dodged one. You dodged the bullet. So now you really going to have to dot your I's and cross your T's and make sure you ain't getting too comfortable with these Bravo celebrities, which I've been saying for the longest. Like, if you are the boss, you should not be out here getting a little too comfortable. He invited him to his baby shower, and he's got all their numbers in his phone. So it kind of gives favoritism to you have your favorites. And it has come across that Andy is very much mixy, and he does kind of play at favorites when it comes to people. So let me know what y'all think about this story down below in regards to this whole case. Because, child, it's getting juicy. All right, so now that was our last topic. Now, any comments, concerns, or questions before we get up out of here? Because, yeah, this is a long one. This is a 3.5-hour episode. I'm glad I cut down on other topics because I'm like, child, I've been here for. But, yeah, we'll have another show tomorrow, depending on if there's any more juice or anything interesting that comes out, and I'm sure it will. But, yeah, so and before y'all sign off, please do me a solid and hit that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button, so that way you know when we go live with another episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. So, since I guess nobody has anything to add to the show, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Tune in next time for a brand new episode. That's why I said hit that like button, that subscribe button, and the notification button, because I know I told you I was going to give you all a show yesterday, but stuff happened and I wasn't able to, so I'm giving y'all one today on Mother's Day. So, yeah, with all that being said, thank you to everybody that was in the comments commenting on today's episode. So we had Felix, we had Default, we had Roro was up in the comments, Robert was in the comments, and then we had that hacker that was up in there putting X all throughout the damn thing that I had to block. Don't remember their name, nor do I give a damn. But but yeah. So love you all for watching. Until the next time, like I said, hit that like button, that subscribe button, and the notification button so that way you know when we go live with a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. And until next time, because I'm hungry, I need to go eat something. So, ciao everybody, because it's after 6. So, over on the East Coast. So, yeah, let me go. Love you all for watching. See you possibly tomorrow.